Apocalypse begins by collecting S.S.S level cards. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 176 Aboriginal People. While AI hesitated to speak, Woody casually wiped the blood on his face. Let's go. We can't protect ourselves. How can we care about them? Let's go. While AI sighed, Qin Lang immediately spread his flesh wings and flew away from the scene with the 4 people point. A few minutes later, Qin Lang and his party of 5 landed on a ruins. It was obviously a building that collapsed for some reason. The highest point was 100 meters above the ground. It should be safe here. Let's take a rest first. Qin Lang took out a few pieces of gold card food and took a bite of the tender and juicy steak. Soon the big piece of steak was eaten clean. But what surprised Qin Lang was that, even if he was hungry, he would only eat 2. 3 gold cards of food were almost enough, but today he had eaten 5 gold cards of food, and his stomach was still empty. It was like stuffing something between his teeth. No wonder this place is called a place of extreme hunger. People's hunger is magnified many times, and food is digested much faster than usual. Qin Lang murmured to himself. He looked at Li Guoguo and Lin Wana. They usually eat more delicately, but at this time they began to devour food regardless of their appearance. Wang. AI, can you contact your fiancé? Qin Lang asked casually. Wang AI was sitting cross-legged, as if performing some kind of ritual. He nodded and said happily, I have contacted him. His location is in the ruins of the seaside hospital in the north. Without further ado, let's set off now. Qin Lang unfolded his flesh wings again and led everyone to fly towards the ruins of the northern hospital. Cuckoo. After flying for only a few minutes, Qin Lang suddenly felt a strong burning sensation and indescribable hunger in his stomach, and his sense of smell seemed to be many times more sensitive than usual. Boss, what's wrong? Woody looked at Qin Lang, who fell back to the ground with confusion on his face. Qin Lang didn't bother to answer him. This time he directly used colorful card food, a grand banquet. Immediately, dozens of kinds of food were spread on the ground. Qin Lang didn't even bother to use chopsticks, so he just grabbed a braised trotter, and started to eat it, filling his mouth with food. Oily flow. No, it doesn't satisfy my hunger at all. Qin Lang was a little panicked, because he had already eaten 2 braised trotters, a whole stewed chicken, and a large plate of braised beef, which only eliminated a little hunger. This was so wrong. The combat power is almost 7. Good guy, where did you come from as a monster? But at this moment, a slightly surprised voice came from not far away. Everyone was shocked and hurriedly got up to prepare to defend themselves against the enemy. Qin Lang looked at the man walking away slowly, stuffed vegetables into his mouth, and said vaguely, mud is like water. The man was in his 40s or 50s, with a lean build and sunken cheeks. He was carrying a longbow. He raised his hands and said, hey, don't be nervous, everyone. I'm not hostile. I just smelled the fragrance and came over to see you. If you are not a local, card food won't do much good here. You have to eat special food from the hunting ground. Food for the hunting ground. Qin Lang swallowed a piece of ribs and wiped his mouth. The man took out a piece of dried meat from his dirty satchel and threw it to Qin Lang from a distance. Try this on me. Qin Lang was still hesitating whether to eat the stranger's food, but Ziohe had already taken a bite of 1/3 of the dried meat. He ran to the side with the dried meat in his mouth and ate it with relish. Seeing that the food was normal, Qin Lang didn't think too much and took a bite. U003 CBR/U003E. How should I put it? It tastes like chewing wax. I don't know how long this dried meat has been stored. There is no grease at all. To say it is food is a bit insulting to the word food. But the strange thing is that after Qin Lang finished chewing the dried meat, he was not hungry anymore. The man chuckled and said, well, I didn't fool you, did I? Qin Lang cupped his hands and said, thank you very much. What do you call me, uncle? They all call me Leo Liotao, so you should call me that too. You also have dried meat here. Do you want it? Of course. A piece of dried meat is exchanged for a colorful card. Old Liu Tao. She opened his mouth Hey, why don't you be so dark? Qin Lang rolled his eyes inwardly. Old Liu Tao was happy. You are new here, so you don't know that this is normal. The common price here is a piece of dried meat for a colored card. If you don't want to, you can go to the hunting ground and find a trading terminal to exchange. Trading terminal. Can you take us to the hunting ground? When we get there, I'm willing to give you color cards as reward. No problem. 3. Old Liu raised 3 fingers and said, give me 1 card first, and then I'll clear the remainder when I get there. For you. Qin Lang threw a colorful card to old Liu Tao, who put the card away with a smile. Let's go. I will take you to the hunting ground, not far from here. If you have any information you want to know, you can ask me. As long as no matter what the key information is, I can tell you for free. Uncle Liu, are the ruins of the Northern Hospital far from us? Wang Ai asked hurriedly. Old Liu raised his eyebrows and said with surprise, why do you ask this? My fiancé is in the ruins of the Northern Hospital. Huh? Old Liu's eyes widened. Nonsense. How is this possible? There is indeed a shelter before the ruins of the Northern Hospital, but all the people there died half a month ago. Impossible. Wang Ai exclaimed. I just contacted him. He said that he is in the ruins of the Northern Hospital. He is very hungry now. He hopes that I can go over and save him. Old Liu Tao groaned. Girl, let me tell you something that you may not like to hear. Your fiancé is most likely controlled by the Mind Flayer. It is most likely a trap. What is the Mind Flayer? Qin Lang asked. Old Liu Tao grinned. This message should have been charged, but I think you are pretty nice people, so I gave it to you for free. The Mind Flayer is a demon that will appear when a person is hungry to a certain level. It is a kind of mental attack. After being controlled by the Mind Flayer, although a person retains all the enhanced skills, he will lose his emotions and become a monster that only goes crazy looking for food. Girl, let me ask you, when you contacted your fiancé, was he crazy? Said he was hungry. This Wang Ai choked. What Liu Tao said is true. During the process of contacting his fiancé, the most common word he said was hungry, and the second most common word was I'm so hungry. Is it impossible to save a person controlled by the Mind Flayer? Wang Ai's eyes overflowed with tears. She finally found N10. She couldn't accept this result. That's not necessarily the case. As long as you find the top ingredients in the hunting ground, there is a chance that he can recover. It's just that it's very difficult. It's as difficult as climbing to the sky. Old Liu Tao probably hasn't communicated with anyone for a long time, so he opened his chat box and said the hunting ground is occupied by several forces. Ordinary survivors can only hunt on the periphery, while top-notch ingredients often only appear in the core area. Every time several forces appear, they will fight for it, and many people will die every time. Wang Ai was about to speak but stopped. Woody casually wiped the blood on his face. Let's go. We can't protect ourselves. How can we care about them? Let's go. Wang Ai sighed. Qin Lang immediately spread his flesh wings and flew away from the scene with the 4 people. A few minutes later, Qin Lang and his party of 5 landed on a ruins. It was obviously a building that collapsed for some reason. The highest point was 100 meters above the ground. It should be safe here. Let's take a rest first. Qin Lang took out a few pieces of gold card food and took a bite of the tender and juicy steak. Soon the big piece of steak was eaten clean. But what surprised Qin Lang was that, even if he was hungry, he would only eat 2. 3 gold cards of food were almost enough, but today he had eaten 5 gold cards of food, and his stomach was still empty. It was like stuffing something between his teeth. No wonder this place is called the land of extreme hungry. People's hunger is magnified many times, and food is digested much faster than usual. Qin Lang murmured to himself. He looked at Li Guoguo and Lin Wana. They usually eat more delicately, but now they began to wolf down their food without caring about their image. Wang Ai, can you contact your fiancé? Qin Lang asked casually. Wang Ai was sitting cross-legged, as if performing some kind of ritual. He nodded and said happily, I have contacted him. His location is in the ruins of the seaside hospital in the north. Without further ado, let's set off now. Qin Lang unfolded his flesh wings again and led everyone to fly towards the ruins of the northern hospital. Cuckoo after. Only a few minutes of flying, Qin Lang suddenly felt a strong burning sensation and indescribable hunger in his stomach, and his sense of smell seemed to be many times more sensitive than usual. "Boss, what's wrong?" Woody looked at Qin Lang, who fell back to the ground with confusion on his face. Qin Lang didn't bother to answer him. This time he directly used colorful card food, a grand banquet. Immediately, dozens of kinds of food were spread on the ground. Qin Lang didn't even bother to use chopsticks. He just started, grabbed a braised pork chop, and started to eat it, filling his mouth with food. Oily flow. No, it doesn't satisfy my hunger at all. Qin Lang was a little panicked, because he had already eaten 2 braised trotters, a whole stewed chicken, and a large plate of braised beef, which only eliminated a little hunger. This was so wrong. The combat power is almost 7. Good guy, where did you come from as a monster? But at this moment, a slightly surprised voice came from not far away. Everyone was shocked, and hurriedly got up, to prepare to defend themselves against the enemy. Qin Lang looked at the man walking away slowly, stuffed vegetables into his mouth, and said vaguely, "Mud is like water." The man was in his 40s or 50s, with a lean build and sunken cheeks. He was carrying a longbow. He raised his hands and said, hey, don't be nervous, everyone. I'm not hostile. I just smelled the fragrance and came over to see you. If you are not a local, card food won't do much good here. You have to eat special food from the hunting ground. Food for the hunting ground. Qin Lang swallowed a piece of ribs and wiped his mouth. The man took out a piece of dried meat from his dirty satchel and threw it to Qin Lang from a distance. "Try this on me." Qin Lang was still hesitating whether to eat the stranger's food, but Ziohei had already taken a bite of 1/3 of the dried meat. He ran to the side with the dried meat in his mouth and ate it with relish. Seeing that the food was normal, Qin Lang didn't think too much and took a bite. U003 CBR/U003E. How should I put it? It tastes like chewing wax. I don't know how long this dried meat has been stored. There is no grease at all. To say it is food is a bit insulting to the word food. But the strange thing is that after Qin Lang finished chewing the dried meat, he was not hungry anymore. The man chuckled and said, "Well, I didn't fool you, did I?" Qin Lang cupped his hands and said, "Thank you very much. What do you call me, uncle?" "They all call me Leo Liotao, so you should call me that too. You also have dried meat here. Do you want it?" "Of course." A piece of dried meat is exchanged for a colorful card. Old Liu Tao. She opened his mouth wide. "Ahem, why don't you be so dark?" Qin Lang rolled his eyes inwardly. Old Liu Tao was happy. "You are new here, so you don't know that this is normal. The common price here is a piece of dried meat for a color card. If you don't want to, go to the hunting ground and find a trading terminal to exchange it." "Trading terminal? Can you take us to the hunting ground? When we get there, I'm willing to give you color cards as reward." "No problem. Free." Old Liu held up 3 fingers. "Give me one first, and I'll settle the balance when we get there. Here you go." Qin Lang threw a colored card to old Liu, who smiled and put it away. "Let's go. I'll take you to the hunting ground. It's not far from here. If you have any information you want to know, you can ask me. As long as it's not critical information, I can tell you for free." "Uncle Liu, is the ruins of the Northern Hospital far from us?" Wang Ai asked hurriedly. Old Liu raised his eyebrows and asked in surprise, "Why are you asking this? My fiancé is in the ruins of the Northern Hospital." Huh? Old Liu's eyes widened. "Nonsense. How is this possible? There was indeed a shelter before the ruins of the Northern Hospital, but the people there died half a month ago." "Impossible." Wang Ai exclaimed. "I just contacted him. He said he was in the ruins of the Northern Hospital, and now he is starving, and he hopes I can go and save him quickly." Old Liu pondered. "Girl, I'm going to say something you may not like to hear. Your fiancé is most likely controlled by the Mind Flayer, and it is probably a trap." "What is a Mind Flayer?" Qin Lang asked. Old Liu grinned. "This message should have been charged, but I think you are a good person, so I'll give it to you for free. The Heart Flayer is a demon that will appear when a person is hungry to a certain extent. It is a kind of mental attack. After being controlled by the heart flare, although the person retains all the enhanced skills, he will lose his emotions and become a monster that can only go crazy and look for food everywhere. Girl, let me ask you, when you contacted your fiancé, did he say he was hungry like crazy? This one. AI choked. What old Liu said was the truth. During the process of contacting the fiancé, the word he said the most was hungry, and the second most was I'm so hungry. Is it true that people who are controlled by the heart flare are hopeless? Wang Ai's eyes overflowed with tears. She finally found N10, and she couldn't accept such a result. That's not necessarily true. As long as we find the best ingredients in the hunting grounds, there's a chance that he can recover. But it's very difficult as ascending to heaven. Old Liu must have not communicated with anyone for a long time. Once he opened his mouth, he kept talking. The hunting grounds are occupied by several forces. Ordinary survivors can only hunt on the periphery, and the best ingredients often only appear in the core area. Every time they appear, several forces will fight for them, and many people will die every time. Chapter 177 Guardian. Hey, are you being pretentious? You've been around here for a long time, and you naturally understand the rules here. It's too late today, and you won't be able to hunt at night. I'll take you to the hunting ground tomorrow morning to gain some experience, then. It'll be hard work. Night pointer. Bright full moon was reflected on the calm lake, and the surrounding ruins added an unspeakable desolation to this peaceful night. Why? Aren't you asleep yet? Qin Lang glanced at Li Guoguo, who was sitting over while rubbing his eyelids. Li Guoguo held the man's arm and yawned. What about me? You haven't slept either, so why are you pretending to be so deep? Qin Lang laughed. Aren't you hungry? Fishing. It's only been a few hours and you're hungry again. It seems that old Liu Tao is right. The higher the combat power, the faster you get hungry. Li Guoguo narrowed her eyes. How about I help you? Why, have you ever fished before? That's not true, but I can electrofish. Li Guoguo's right hand suddenly flashed with crackling yellow lightning. She smiled and put her palm into the lake water. Moment. With a snap, countless stunned fish of all kinds floated to the surface of the lake with their bellies turned upside down. Just when Qin Lang wanted to praise her, his expression suddenly changed, and an unprecedented sense of oppression rose from the depths of the lake. Not far away, Liu Tao and his group also noticed the change, and they all sat up and rushed to the lake. Liu Tao looked at the innocent looking Li Guoguo and the fish turning their bellies, and already knew what had happened. His face was as hen and he said, "It's bad. I forgot to tell you about this, so you did this thing. The fish here can only be caught by fishing, and no other methods can be used, otherwise the guardians of this place will be alarmed." I don't know. Li Guoguo hid behind Qin Lang and said, "What should we do now? What else can we do? Run. Otherwise, when it comes out, we have Toadie." Old Liu Tao called on everyone to run for their lives, but Qin Lang didn't dare to ask for help. He hugged a SS in one hand and ran away. They had just ran a few hundred meters away when the monster in the lake revealed its true form. It was a huge strange fish, like a small mountain. Same. Its belly rushes over. Damn. It, blackfish spirit, right? Snapped. Woody wanted to know how much combat power this monster had, but as soon as he pressed the combat power detector, it exploded, and the debris almost blinded him. Damn it, why is it broken at this time? Are there fake and shoddy products in this thing? Qin Lang glanced at him silently, and gave the answer before old Liu Tao. It's not that the combat power detector is broken, this proves that the combat power of the strange fish exceeds 99,999. Ha, woo. Suddenly felt the urge to cry. I fucking regret it. I really shouldn't have come to N10. The speed of the monster was too fast, and it came behind everyone in just a few sprints. Qin Lang raised his heart and used the ice and fire swords. Damn it, you really think I'm a weak persimmon, don't you? I happen to be hungry, so I will take you today for a late night snack. Old Liu Tao was so frightened that his legs went weak. Don't act recklessly, this thing has more than 100,000 combat power. You. As soon as he finished speaking, Qin Lang swung his sword. Fifth gear. The power of the elephant 20D magnification dice. Woo. The Light flashed by. A large piece of flesh and blood, hundreds of kilograms, was cut off. The monster fell to the ground in pain. After jumping a few times, it stood up with difficulty, and then turned around and rushed back into the lake. Everyone, including Qin Lang, was stunned. It's so outrageous. Chapter 178. It can be seen that he is hungry. Is it so outrageous? Everyone at the scene exclaimed. Stunned. Old Liu and his companions exclaimed because they couldn't believe that the lake guardian beast that no one dared to provoke on weekdays would be cut off such a large piece of meat with one sword. And Qin Lang exclaimed because he only cut off such a piece of meat with one sword, as expected of the monsters in the N10 area. They are too strong. Qin Lang was still frightened. Fortunately, the 20D multiplier dice rolled 10 times the damage just now, otherwise the opponent's wound would be even smaller. Old Liu and his companions rubbed their eyes hard and squeezed out a smile that was uglier than crying. You are really, really fierce. He really couldn't find any other words to describe Qin Lang, this beast. The little sparrow's eyes flickered. If Qin Lang hadn't been followed closely by two top beauties, she would definitely betray her boyfriend Dazuan and offer herself to Qin Lang without hesitation. A man who can cut a guardian level creature with a sword represents absolute strength, which means that following him will never be hungry, and it is definitely worth following. Is this meat edible? Qin Lang touched his shriveled stomach. Yes, he was hungry again. Gear 5 consumed a lot of his physical strength, more than edible. Old Liu jumped up excitedly. This is guardian beast level meat. It's more than 100 times stronger than jerky. Girl 1. Remember what I told you before. If you want to heal someone controlled by the mind flayer, you must use top level ingredients. This is the top level ingredient. No. This is a fucking super ingredient. Seeing old Liu so excited, Qin Lang knew that the 100 pounds of fish meat must be good stuff. He immediately threw out a frozen mushroom to freeze it for freshness, and then cut off a small piece with an ice sword. The texture of this meat is very similar to the blackfish eaten before the end of the world. Very tender, and there is no strange smell. Zhao Hei, this piece is yours. Qin Lang threw it casually, and Zhao Hei immediately jumped up and grabbed the fish meat and swallowed it up. Everyone who sees it has a share. Come on, I'll give each of you a piece. Qin Lang is not a stingy person. He immediately cut 5 pounds for Liu and his group. Liu and his group were so grateful that they almost cried. They have been in N10 for so long, let alone eating it. They have never seen this superfood. This thing only exists in legends. This piece is for your fiancé. Qin Lang threw 2 servings of fish to Wang Ai. Wang Ai's eyes turned red, and he bowed heavily. Thank you. This piece is yours. Qin Lang gave a piece to Woody. The latter swallowed his saliva and hit his chest hard. Thank you, boss. I knew that, as long as the boss was here, all the monsters and demons would have to get out of the way. Qin Lang smiled and called the 2 girls. Come and try this sashimi. Otherwise, how can you say that this is a super ingredient? The taste is more than 100 times stronger than the grilled fish they had eaten before. What made Qin Lang most satisfied was the energy and hunger resistance contained in the fish slices. He ate about 5 pounds by himself. Not only did he recover all the physical strength he consumed, but his belly was also round, comfortable, so full. Qin Lang was in a very happy mood. Food and beauty are the most unforgettable existence in this world. Old Liu and the others did not dare to be as extravagant as Qin Language. They only ate a small piece to taste it, and put the rest into the storage bag, intending to use it for emergencies. Brother Qin, if you had said you were so strong earlier, why would we go to the hunting ground? We can just target the guardian beasts. Not to mention the ones far away. The one in the lake is enough to eat for a month or so. This chapter is not finished yet. Click on the next chapter to continue reading chapter 178. It can be seen that it is hungry. Old Liu was quite excited. Qin Lang shook his head when he heard it. The thing in the lake is more difficult than you think. I was just lucky today and let it bleed a little. I may not be so lucky next time. So, we still have to go to the hunting ground without the powerful buff effect of the Lone Ranger. Qin Lang dared not be as reckless as before. Besides, the strange fish in the lake are not fools. Do they dare to bubble up after suffering a loss? Several people bravely returned to the camping site by the lake. At this time, the lake's surface had already been stained red with blood. Countless large and small fish were floating on it. Not to mention the dead ones. The living ones were desperately absorbing nutrients in the blood. After confirming that the guardian beast in the lake would not dare to come up for a while, Liu and his friends found a lot of containers and began to fill them with blood water. Soon, the lakeside was filled with bottles and various water bags. This is the lake water soaked in the blood of the guardian beast. It is much stronger than ordinary ingredients. It must not be wasted. It will be used to make soup in the future. Liu said confidently. It can be seen that they are really hungry. I don't know if it is Qin Lang's illusion or something, but I always feel that the time here passes faster than the outside world. Unknowingly, the east is getting white and the sky is bright. After collecting all the available resources in the lake, including blood water, dead fish, and live fish, Liu led Qin Lang and his 10 people into the hunting ground. The circular hunting ground is mainly composed of 3 areas: periphery, middle and core. The closer to the center, the higher the level of ingredients. Of course, the more dangerous it is, not only because the monsters are powerful, but mainly because of the 3 major forces themselves do not have enough food. So how can they allow wanderers to sneak in and hunt? Not long after entering the hunting ground, rustle, there was a rush of footsteps, and 5 or 6 men and women dressed like African natives walked out of the forest. When they saw that it was old Liu Tao, they couldn't help but he laughed and said, "Who do I think you are? Isn't this old Liu Tao? You are still alive." Old Liu Tao obviously didn't deal with this group of people. He rolled his eyes and said, "I won't be cold, even if you are cold. Hey, look at how you hold a grudge. Didn't you just steal your prey last month? As for holding a grudge to this day, I, Liu, am not a stingy person. Is this piece of meat enough to compensate me?" As he said this, Liu threw a big steak to old Liu. Judging from the quality of the meat, it should be Peppa Pig. Old Liu Tao snorted. "You think I'm a beggar, and you can send me away with just a slice of pork chop? However, since you have this intention, I, the old man, will forgive you." Liu laughed heartily. "Old man, you're so arrogant. It seems you've got some good stuff. Do you dare to show it to your brothers? Top notch. Goods generally refer to high-end ingredients." Old Liu Tao and Qin Lang discussed this matter. Old Liu Tao waved his hands repeatedly. "Hey, I don't have any top talent. I just got lucky and got a bottle of precious blood." As he spoke, old Liu Tao threw the mineral water bottle filled with blood to Liu. "Precious blood? What is that?" Liu unscrewed the bottle cap and smelled it. His eyes suddenly changed, and he said in disbelief, "Huh? The quality of this blood. Old man, where did you get this blood?" "Sorry, it's a secret." Liu Tao raised his hand. "Come back." Liu's eyes flickered for a while, probably because he felt that the opponent was outnumbered, and he did not have an advantage. He reluctantly returned the water bottle, and lowered his voice and said, "Old Liu Tao, do you want to exchange this precious blood for me? I'll take 5 eyelines, give you a gold card in exchange." "Are you kidding me? Do you think I'm a fool? You want 5 gold cards in exchange for this bottle of precious blood?" Old Liu Tao directly said, "It's no problem if you want the precious blood. 1 color card, no need to talk about it." Chapter 179 Pink Death! Exclamation mark. Liu said hurriedly, "Old Liu Tao? Is he the old Liu Tao who was camped by the lake? Where did he get the precious blood?" Minna asked. Liu said, "I really don't know this. How could he tell me?" "That's right. No one would be stupid enough to tell outsiders the origin of this good thing. What about them?" "In the middle part, it seems that we are heading towards the core area." Liu pointed in the direction to Minna. "Well, this precious blood belongs to me, and this is your reward." Minna threw out a colorful card to Liu. Just as Liu was about to say thank you, Minna turned into countless pink butterflies and flew towards the distance in the blink of an eye. Just disappeared. It's so scary and deserves to be called the Pink Death. Lead ABO wiped his sweat guiltily and clenched the color card in his hand, his face beaming with joy. Although I didn't make much, I made a profit. Originally, he wanted to use the precious blood to trade with the three major forces, but now it was better, and he didn't need to waste time on the road. The area ahead is controlled by the three major forces. Before hunting, it's best to say hello to them. Otherwise, if you are discovered, it will be a trivial matter to be driven away. You are most afraid of causing some unpleasantness. Old Liu Tao said seriously. The little sparrow smiled and said, you think our brother Qin is a vegetarian, and the guardian beast can be chopped down by his sword. Who else can be his opponent, except the boss of the three major forces? That's true, but it's better not to fight, if we don't want to fight. Old Liu Tao was still talking earnestly, and Qin Lang in front suddenly let out a sigh, fluttering his right palm, and the two swords of ice and fire immediately appeared in his palm point at this time. Hundreds of pink butterflies flew out from the front, and gathered into the shape of a pink-haired girl. Hiss. Old Liu and the others were all shocked. Pink god of death, Minna, the boss of the Redeemers of the Apocalypse. Minna did not hesitate, took out the precious blood and weighed it. Old Liu Tao, I just met Lead ABO. He said that he bought this precious blood from you. Is this true? Yes. Old Liu Tao was so frightened that he couldn't stand still. He exchanged 8 gold cards with me for the precious blood. Oh, Minna's face was expressionless. Where did this blood come from? Oh, this is it. Old Liu Tao muttered. Minna narrowed her eyes, suddenly filled with murderous intent, and the surrounding temperature also plummeted. I hate people who hesitate when talking. Don't embarrass him. The blood is mine, Qin Lang said calmly. Do you want to buy it, grab it, or do you want to force us to reveal the source of the precious blood? Fresh face. Are you new here, Qin Lang responded with silence. Minna chuckled. Pretend. Go to hell. Click. The moment the sword was unsheathed, an extremely powerful aura surged out and enveloped everyone present. Everyone felt as if they were in hell, and their bodies were shaking uncontrollably. This is an absolute suppression from a superior. But there are exceptions to everything. There was one person at the scene who could remain calm. It was Qin Language. He raised the corner of his mouth slightly and kept it until Minna sheathed her sword and the aura disappeared. There is something. Apart from those two monsters, you are the third person who can withstand my pressure. Minna put away her condescending attitude and said, I will buy precious blood. How much do you have? How much do you want? I want as much as you have. I'll have as much as you want. Minna sneered and took out a school bag and threw it on the ground. The school bag was filled with golden colorful cards. Are these enough? Qin Lang smiled and said, not enough. Chapter 180 Flesh and Blood Servant. You fucking fart. Minna was anxious. She thought she could frighten the other party by taking out her family wealth and pretend to be cool at the same time. She never expected that Qin Lang, a guy with thick eyebrows and big eyes, could pretend better than her. What are you in a hurry for? Qin Lang smiled and winked at Liu and the others. The latter immediately understood and took out all the bottles and cans in the storage space. When more than a dozen bottles and jars appeared on the ground, Minna's face was full of sarcasm. When dozens of bottles and jars appeared on the ground, Minna looked serious. When the bottles and cans on the ground piled up into a hill, Minna looked extremely ugly and murmured, there are so many on the street. Change. Now, Qin Lang narrowed his eyes. If you want to change, I can give you 23 here. Let's replace you with a big-headed ghost. Minna put away her school bag decisively and hummed, tell me where this precious blood comes from, and I will give you 10 colored cards. Can you tell me why you are so anxious for the blood? Tell Qin Lang directly that Minna must have some unknown secrets because she cares so much about the precious blood. Qin Lang actually didn't expect Minna to speak. He never expected Minna to speak directly. It doesn't matter if I tell you. I need these precious blood to activate an important place where the secret treasure is stored. How much do you need? Qin Lang became serious. The more secret treasures, the better. I don't know. Anyway, these are definitely not enough. Although it is the blood of the guardian beast, it is diluted. It would be better if there is the meat of the guardian beast. Speaking of this, Minna laughed at herself. Hey, look what I'm thinking here. Unless the guardian beasts fight among themselves, it's impossible to hurt them at all with the current combat power of humans. Minna's throat seemed to be strangled by invisible hands, her eyes fixed on the large piece of fish meat in Qin Lang's hand that exuded an alluring aroma. Minna felt dizzy for a while, as if someone had used a petrification technique on her brain. Yes, this is precious meat. I can give it to you, but what good will it do to me? Qin Lang smiled and pinched the back of Zhao Heidestina's neck and threw it aside, letting it curse. What benefits do you want? A woman. You already have 3 beautiful women by your side. You shouldn't be interested in me, right? Minna looks to be only 18 or 19 years old, but she speaks quite directly. It's normal to think about it. In this post-apocalyptic wasteland, where there are no laws or rules, and where strength is respected, it is easier to succeed in negotiations by playing straight. We'll tell you later, whether you want to sleep or not. Hiss. Qin Lang's arms were a little sore. The 2 girls were not only clever in their actions, but they also had a tacit understanding. Ha. Minna was amused. Qin Lang rubbed his arms and said, I want to know all the information about the secret treasure. After it is confirmed to be true, I can not only give you the precious blood and flesh, but also help you obtain the secret treasure. Of course, I will get some of the benefits in the end. I know what you are thinking, but I can tell you clearly that this is impossible. There are only 3 people who are qualified to get the treasure. Apart from me, the remaining 2 people are the captain of the celestial team, Dao Shen, and the other one is Gu Lai, the leader of the Scourge Legion. A month ago, Dao Shen and Gu Lai fought over territorial issues. During the fight, we were accidentally drawn into the underground palace, where the 3 of us became flesh and blood servants. Whoever sacrifices the most and the highest quality flesh and blood can open the underground palace and obtain the treasures in the underground palace. My current progress is 7, fighting God and Gilly are 6 and 5 respectively. The 3 of us can see each other's sacrifice progress. After listening to Minna's explanation, Qin Lang fell into thinking. Aren't you worried at all about whether it's a treasure or a monster deep in the underground palace? Minna shook her head. There's nothing to worry about. If it's a treasure, you'll get rich. If it's a monster, the worst case scenario is death. You can see clearly. I have to say that Qin Lang likes Minna's character very much. It's not that I can see it, but I can't help it. The 2 gays Dao Shen and Gu Lai are flirting with each other. Sooner or later they will get involved. When the time comes, we will be 2 against 1, and I have no chance of winning. A trace of worry flashed across Minna's brows. It turns out Dao Shen and Gu Lai's sexual orientation. Little Sparrow, Li Guogo, and Lin Wan are all pricked up their ears. Qin Lang expressed helplessness about this. It's the end of the world. Why do you still like gossip so much? How about it? Do you want to cooperate? If there is a secret treasure, one of us will take half of it. If there is a monster, it depends on destiny. Minna looked at Qin Lang with an expectant look. Qin Lang thought for a while and reached out his hand. Why not? Minna laughed loudly and shook Qin Lang's palm hard. Okay, I just like you who are decisive in doing things. I will leave the precious blood and precious flesh with you for the time being. If my progress suddenly increases too fast, they will be suspicious of me. It will be bad when they join forces to attack us. So, where did this flesh and blood come from? Which 2 guardian beasts are involved? To this day, Minna still feels that Qin Lang's acquisition of precious blood and flesh was due to luck. Last night at the lake, I encountered a strange fish chasing us. I gave it a sword. Qin Lang's understatement made Minna's shocked eyes almost fell to the ground. Minna hurriedly pulled out an album, pointed at one of the monsters and said, "Is this one?" Qin Lang glanced at the monster in the album. It was the monster he encountered yesterday. Even the location was clearly marked. Yes, that's it. The monster with 16 combat power lost a large piece of flesh with your sword. Minna was dizzy. Even if the fact was right in front of her, she couldn't believe it was true. Damn, this book is so awesome. It records things like this. Qin Lang flipped through the unknown ancient book in his hand and found that there were no less than 100 kinds of monsters in the N10 area recorded in it. The habitat and combat power of each monster were recorded in extreme detail. Mina said, "This is the book that was given to me after I became a flesh and blood servant." The two gays each have a copy in their hands. The 16-year-old alien blackfish is not easy to deal with, even if it is injured. We can start with the 9-year-old colorful python. Qin Lang read the book for a long time, eliminating ordinary monsters. The colorful python has the lowest combat power among the guardian beasts, and is also the easiest. This is one of the guides. The monster on the last page has a combat power of 20. Qin Lang asked himself, facing such a powerful creature, even in his prime, he had to avoid its edge. Brother, that's a 9 monster after all. You can't just attack it. Mina smiled bitterly. I've fought against the colorful python before, and it's just the same. Oh. That's not very good. It's half a pound of gold, and I'm 80 ounces of scrap metal. I was so beaten by that big maggot that even my grandma couldn't even recognize her. You fucking fart. Mina was anxious. She thought she could frighten the other party by taking out her family wealth and pretend to be cool. She never expected that Qin Lang, a guy with thick eyebrows and big eyes, could pretend better than her. What are you in a hurry for? Qin Lang smiled and winked at Liu and the others. The latter immediately understood and took out all the bottles and cans in the storage space. When more than a dozen bottles and jars appeared on the ground, Mina's face was full of sarcasm. When dozens of bottles and jars appeared on the ground, Mina looked serious. When the bottles and cans on the ground piled up into a hill, Mina looked extremely ugly and murmured, "There are so many on the street. Change now?" Qin Lang narrowed his eyes. "If you want to change, I can give you 23 here. Let's replace you with a big-headed ghost." Mina put away her school bag decisively and hummed, "Tell me where this precious blood comes from, and I will give you 10 colored cards. Can you tell me why you are so anxious for the blood? Tell Qin Lang directly that Mina must have some unknown secrets, because she cares so much about the precious blood." Qin Lang actually didn't expect Mina to speak. He expected Mina to speak directly. "It doesn't matter if I tell you. I need these precious blood to activate an important place where the secret treasure is stored. How much do you need?" Qin Lang became serious. "The more secret treasures, the better." "I don't know. Anyway, these are definitely not enough. Although it is the blood of the guardian beast, it is diluted. It would be better if there is the meat of the guardian beast." Speaking of this, Mina laughed at herself. "Hey, look what I'm thinking here. Unless the guardian beasts fight among themselves, it's impossible to hurt them at all with the current combat power of humans." Mina's throat seemed to be strangled by invisible hands, her eyes fixed on the large piece of fish meat in Qin Lang's hand that exuded an alluring aroma. Mina felt dizzy for a while, as if someone had used a petrification technique on her brain. "Yes, this is precious meat. I can give it to you, but what good will it do to me?" Qin Lang smiled and pinched the back of Xiaohei Destiny's neck and threw it aside, letting it curse. "What benefits do you want? A woman? You already have 3 beautiful women by your side. You shouldn't be interested in me, right?" Mina looks to be only 18 or 19 years old, but she speaks quite directly. It's normal to think about it. In this post-apocalyptic wasteland, where there are no laws or rules, and where strength is respected, it is easier to succeed in negotiations by playing straight. "We'll tell you later whether you want to sleep or not." Hiss. Qin Lang's arms were a little sore. The two girls were not only clever in their actions, but they also had a tacit understanding. Ha. Mina was amused. Qin Lang rubbed his arms and said, "I want to know all the information about the secret treasure. After it is confirmed to be true, I can not only give you the precious blood and flesh, but also help you obtain the secret treasure. Of course, I will get some of the benefits in the end. I know what you are thinking, but I can tell you clearly that this is impossible. There are only 3 people who are qualified to get the treasure. Apart from me, the remaining 2 people are the captain of the celestial team, Dao Shen, and the other one is Gu Lai, the leader of the Scourge Legion. A month ago, Dao Shen and Gu Lai fought over territory issues. During the fight, we were accidentally drawn into the underground palace, where the 3 of us became flesh and blood servants. Whoever sacrifices the most and the highest quality flesh and blood can open the underground palace and obtain the treasures in the underground palace. My current progress is 7. Fighting God and Gilly are 6 and 5 respectively. The three of us can see each other's sacrifice progress. After listening to Mina's explanation, Qin Lang fell into thinking. Aren't you worried at all about whether it's a treasure or a monster deep in the palace underground? Mina shook her head. There's nothing to worry about. If it's a treasure, you'll get rich. If it's a monster, the worst case scenario is death. You can see clearly. I have to say that Qin Lang likes Mina's character very much. It's not that I can see it, but I can't help it. The two gays Dao Shen and Gulai are flirting with each other. Sooner or later they will get involved. When the time comes, we will be 2 against 1, and I have no chance of winning. A trace of worry flashed across Mina's brows. It turns out Dao Shen and Gulai's sexual orientations. Little Sparrow, Li Guoguo, and Lin Wan are all pricked up their ears. Qin Lang was helpless about this. It's the end of the world. Why do you still like gossip so much? How about cooperation? If there is a secret treasure, we will each have half. If there is a monster, it's up to fate. Mina looked at Qin Lang with an expectant look. Qin Lang thought about it and took the initiative to extend his hand. Why not? Mina laughed and shook Qin Lang's palm vigorously. Okay, I just like you who are decisive in doing things. The precious blood and precious meat will be kept with you for the time being. If my progress suddenly increases too fast, they will be suspicious. At that time, they will join forces to attack us. So, where did this blood and flesh come from? Which 2 guardian beasts fought? Until now, Mina still thinks that Qin Lang relied on luck to obtain the precious blood and precious meat. Last night at the lake, I encountered a strange fish chasing us, and I gave it a sword. Qin Lang's casual words almost made Mina's eyes drop to the ground in shock. Mina frantically flipped through an atlas and pointed at one of the monsters and asked, "Is this the one?" Qin Lang looked at the monster in the atlas. It was the monster he encountered yesterday, and even the location was clearly marked. Yes, it is it. A monster with a combat power of 16. You cut off a large piece of meat with one sword. Mina felt dizzy and dazed. Even though the facts were in front of her, she couldn't believe it was true. Damn, this book is really awesome. It records so much. Qin Lang flipped through the nameless ancient book in his hand and found that it recorded no less than 100 monsters in the N10 area. The habitat and combat power of each monster were recorded in great detail. Mina said, "This is the book given after becoming a flesh and blood servant." The 2 gays also have one in each hand. The 16 level alien blackfish is not easy to deal with, even if it is injured. We can start with this 9 level colored python. Qin Lang held the book and read it for a long time. Excluding ordinary monsters, the colored python is the lowest combat power among the guardian beasts and the easiest to attack. The combat power of the monster on the last page is as high as 20. Qin Lang asked himself, facing such a powerful creature, even if he is in his prime, he must avoid its edge. Brother, it is a 9 level monster after all. It is not something you can just attack. Mina smiled bitterly. I have fought with the colored python, and it is the same. Oh, that's not good. It is half a pound of gold, and I'm 8 ounces of scrap iron. I was beaten by that big maggot and even my mother could hardly recognize me. Chapter 181, Safe Zone in 3 parts. Not only Qin Lang, but also the others were amused by Mina's self-deprecating humor. Old Liu Tao laughed and said, I didn't expect the boss of the Doomsday Redeemer to be so funny. Mina spread her hands and said, if you don't be funny, why don't you still look like a mother all day long? Qin Lang smiled and said, if the 2 of us join forces, it won't be a big problem to kill that big maggot. Let's go over there without further delay. It will be difficult if the other 2 get ahead of us. Okay, but Mina glanced at everyone. I don't mind you bringing so many tow bottles, but the problem is that a fight may affect Chiyu. Qin Lang groaned. I would rather take them with me until I find an absolutely safe place. Again, others like Wang Ai are invincible. Qin Lang doesn't care much about the life and death of old Liu Tao and the others. He only cares about Li Guoguo and Lin Wana. How can he safely put the 2 women in N10 with their fighting strength? If you encounter an aboriginal like Mina, you won't even have a chance to run. It's an absolutely safe place. I know where it is, but the admission fee is relatively expensive. Mina smirked. A color card can only stay in there for 24 hours. Do you know where the safe area is? Qin Lang's face was full of surprise. It turns out you also know a district, so that will be easy. Do you want to go? Certainly, Qin Lang was overjoyed. He had been looking for the absolute safe zone since the eternal night. Unfortunately, he had been running around for several months, but could not find it. Unexpectedly, he accidentally found it in the N10 area. The so-called absolutely safe zone means that no one can use force inside. As long as you enter the safe zone, you will be absolutely safe. A group of 10 people immediately followed Mina to an district. When it was almost noon, Qin Lang saw the area that he had been thinking about, shrouded in a large light. Consumption of one color card every 24 hours. You can enter with the card. Mina told everyone how to enter the safe area and then stepped aside. Hold these cards and wait until I come back. Don't leave this area without my permission. Qin Lang stuffed 8 color cards into Li Guoguo and Lin Wana respectively and gave them serious instructions. No, we are not stupid. We will definitely wait for you to come back, but you have to be careful. Don't worry. I'll meet you when I finish taking care of the things outside. By the way, I threw the fish and meat into your storage box. Eat it when you're hungry. No need to save. Qin Lang thought very carefully. When the 2 women entered the safe zone, Qin Lang found that his Lone Ranger buff was activated. At the same time, he also lost the function of Team Glory and was unable to communicate spiritually with the 2 women. An absolutely safe area. Woody watched eagerly. Seeing Qin Lang looking over, he immediately stood up straight. Men should fight. I don't want to enter any safe area. I'll help the boss. Qin Lang nodded. Very good. Very aware. Mina held the sword and smiled evilly at the side. The status of this 10-person team suddenly became clear. Although old Liu Tao and the others also wanted to follow Qin Lang to learn more, but considering that the party was a monster with a fighting strength of 90,000, they thought for a moment and decided to go to the camp of the Doomsday Redeemer to help Qin Lang sell precious blood to make money. In the end, the team that went to defeat the colorful python became 4 people. Qin Lang, Mina, Wang Ai and Invincible. I always thought that this beautiful lady was also your wife. Mina sat in the car and hugged her. This chapter is not finished yet. Click on the next chapter to continue reading chapter 181 in District and 3-parters. Tadeo looked at Qin Lang beside him with a wicked smile. The driver of this 4-person off-road vehicle is Woody, the co-pilot is Wang Ai, and Qin Lang and Mina sit in the back. What do you want to say? Qin Lang squinted his eyes. We are all adults. There is no need to be secretive. Mina laughed loudly. After I kill that big maggot, I'm willing to talk about adult topics with you in depth. Before that, let's recharge our batteries. Agree. Qin Lang nodded. The bold speech of the passenger in the back seat made Wudichan's heart flutter. He glanced at Wang Ai and said, Wang. Ai said with a stern face, if you dare to talk nonsense, I will kill you. Fuck, it's boring. It's killing you. Woody glanced at him. Within the security area. Li Guoguo and Lin Wana found an open space to make fish soup, but unexpectedly saw a familiar face. It was none other than Tao Gangming. At this time, Tao Gangming was at least 2 times thinner than before, and his cheeks were deflated. Who knows what he had experienced in the past few days. His eyes with flashing blue light were staring at the fish soup, and his throat was swallowing uncontrollably. You old monster. Why didn't you starve to death? Li Guoguo cursed. Girl, don't think you can yell at me in the safe area. All the enhanced skills are sealed here, so I can still beat you. Tao Gangming's face sank. Bring over the fish soup. Bring it to your mother. Lin Wana stood up and picked up the spoon in her right hand. Who are you with? You want to fight, right? Come on, let's do some tricks. Tao Gangming roared angrily and swung his fist, looking for fucking death. Li Guoguo and Lin Wana were not vegetarians. They attacked Tao Gangming from the left and the right. Li Guoguo used a hair-pulling magic technique, while Lin Wana used an ancestral face-scratching magic technique, hitting Tao Gangming's face directly. A few minutes later, Tao Gangming struggled to break free from the 2 girls and fled in a panic with wounds all over his body. His pants and clothes were torn into pieces, and he was almost naked. That is to say, aqua can only cause minor injuries to people and cannot kill people. Otherwise the two girls believe that it is not a problem to keep Tao Gangming with their fighting power. Sisters are of one mind. The sharpness of the sword can break metal. Sisters, drink this bowl of fish soup. Drink. Li, Guogo and Linwana drank the fish soup in one gulp, wiped their mouths, and laughed. Roar. The three-headed colorful python shaped like a mountain fell heavily to the ground. The man in black wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said with a smile, I knew it was hard to kill, but I didn't expect it to be so hard. I almost capsized in the gutter. The burly man with a full beard and holding a huge axe said, we still have to join forces. No one can beat this guy alone. If that little bitch Mina knew we had joined forces, she would be so angry that she would die. The black-clothed fighting god laughed. The bearded Gulai also, and Laugh took the initiative to extend his hand. Adao, our alliance is indestructible. It must be. The fighting god patted Gulai's broad back. It's a pity that you and I are both zero. Gulai whispered, shh, keep your voice down. It's not good for outsiders to hear. Don't be afraid of anything. Whoever hears it will be killed. Gulai sighed. Oh, it's a pity, but as long as it doesn't affect our alliance, what can 0 or 1 do? Chapter 180 to Qin Lang, Mina vs. Hellhound. Oops. Mina suddenly shouted and said with an ugly face, the colorful python was killed by those two gays. Now both of their contribution points are 13. Qin Lang frowned, but immediately relaxed. It doesn't matter, let's just go fight the 12 power Cerberus. Are you sure? Mina took a deep breath. Although it seems that the difference between the two in combat power is only 3, in fact the difference is huge. How sure are you? Let me tell you first, I only have a combat power in the early 50s. Although the burst is high, its shortcomings are also obvious. It lacks endurance combat capability. Every time I launch an attack, I need to rest for 30 seconds. Whether you can survive the fight or not, you have to fight first to know. If you really can't defeat it, just run away. Qin Lang's calm expression made Mina relax a lot. Okay, let's give it a try. The position of the Cerberus exists. 3 hours later a bottomless lava cave exudes a terrifying atmosphere. This put Ziohei directly into fighting mode, and the hair all over his body exploded, especially his tail, which looked like a big feather duster. Qin Lang touched its head and said to Woody, you and Wang Ai can't interfere in this kind of battle. Drive the car farther away and wait for us. Don't turn off the engine. Okay. Woody nodded repeatedly and quickly drove the car away. Qin Lang took out a bunch of mushrooms and arranged them into a mushroom array with 3 layers inside and 3 layers outside. Although at this level, the effect of the mushroom array is minimal, it is better to be prepared than not prepared. If you can delay for 2 seconds, you will have 2 more seconds to escape point. After completing the decoration of the mushroom ray, Qin Lang took out the fish again, ate part of it himself, and gave some to Mina. When his mental and physical strength reached optimal condition, Qin Lang took out a large bundle of detonators, lit them and threw them directly into the lava cave. After the deafening explosion, the ground trembled violently, and a gigantic beast 5 to 6 meters high jumped out of the cave. It was a canine monster. In addition to its ferocious head that was proportional to its body, there were also growths on its neck. A circle of small heads. If you don't look carefully, you might think it is a collar. Damn it, I'm almost suffering from trypophobia. Mina grinned. Roar. The hellhound looked up to the sky and roared, and its huge body rushed towards the 2 uninvited guests fiercely. Facing a monster of this level, Qin Lang did not dare to be careless. He concentrated. His body was covered in a black protective cover, and behind him were wings composed of proliferated flesh and blood. He freed his hands to control the ice and fire swords to slash. The 2 sides exchanged dozens of moves in an instant, and it was hard to tell the difference. Seeing the dazzling attack, Mina almost forgot that she was also a combatant. She took a deep breath, held the handle of the knife with one hand, and leaned forward. Qin Lang, if I tell you to avoid it, just avoid it. Don't hurt you. Qin Lang responded lightly. He was in a comfortable situation now. Neither he nor Cerberus could do anything to the other. The secret technique of killing June flying flowers. Minna's eyes suddenly turned blood red, and the next moment she shouted, "Get away." Whoops. The fleshy wings flapped, and Qin Lang hid to one side. Through the eyeballs that proliferated on the fleshy wings, he saw an extremely gorgeous slash coming out of the sword. During the flight, the slash suddenly changed into countless red lines, which were heavily cutted on the Cerberus head. Laugh. A large amount of blood spurted out, and the hellhound fell to the ground and rolled in pain, screaming repeatedly. It's so powerful, even stronger than the holy sword. It deserves to be one of the 3 bosses. Qin Lang nodded secretly. He admitted that he had underestimated Minna's strength before. Cool. This chapter is not finished yet. Click on the next chapter to continue reading chapter 180 to Qin Lang. Minna vs Cerberus. Minna took a deep breath, sheathed her sword, and moved back more than 10 meters, saying loudly, "Go on, leave me alone. As always, if I tell you to hide, you will. Fuck me." Minna was yelling, because after the hellhound got up from the ground, regardless of whether it was crazy or not, it hit her like crazy. Its claws, which were comparable to those of a private car, formed a dark cloud, and just when it was about to crush her into powder, the right side lit up. Dazzling light. The Cerberus sensed the terrifying aura contained in this light, and could only give up the pursuit of Minna, and hurriedly turned around, and hid to one side, perfectly avoiding the attack range of the holy slash. It's a little tricky though. Qin Lang threw 2 pieces of fish into his mouth, and said with a smile, "But fighting like this is the most enjoyable." 5th gear. The power of an elephant. Not far from the lava cave point Lee Dabo was hunting here with his friends. When they heard the roar of the monster, they all pricked up their ears. "Boss, there seems to be monsters fighting for territory over there." To put it bluntly, I don't have ears myself. Lee Dabo rolled his eyes at his younger brother and said, "Let's go over and have a look. If we can pick it up, we will make a fortune." A group of people came to the outside of the battlefield and secretly looked inside. It's okay if you don't look at it, but when you look at it, several people's jaws almost dropped to the floor. Lee Dabo rubbed his eyelids in disbelief, raised his hand, and gave his younger brother a slap in the face. The younger brother was confused. "Boss, why did you hit me? Does it hurt?" "It hurts." Lee Dabo was frightened for a while. "It's a good thing we were smart and didn't do anything during the day, otherwise we wouldn't even know how we died." On the devastated battlefield, the handsome boy he saw during the day was fighting fiercely with the Cerberus. At this time, the Cerberus was covered in wounds and bleeding profusely. Looking at the handsome boy again, it was there were no signs of injury. "Look, isn't that Sister Ziona? It's so cruel. Monsters with tens of thousands of combat powers have become prey." Lee Dabo swallowed and spat. Let's go quickly. The fire at the city gate has affected the pond fish. The aftermath of a battle of this level can kill us all." Just as they were about to leave, they heard Minna's shout, "Lee Dabo, if you drive me away, believe it or not, I will kill you." Lee Dabo didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Sister Ziona, I didn't provoke you. We were just passing by. Stop blabbering and come here." "Well, Lee Dabo came to Minna dejectedly. "What are your instructions from Sister Ziona?" "Lend me your strength and use it." Minna slapped Lee Dabo on the shoulder, and Lee Dabo immediately trembled like an electric shock. Several of his companions tried to pull him back, but they were electrocuted into pieces. Little sister, don't shout. I won't kill you. I'm just using my strength." After Minna had absorbed all her energy, she ignored the people who were lying on the ground and recharged her sword. After a while, the secret technique of cutting, June Rain. "Qin Lang, get out of the way." Qin Lang's body flashed, and the sword arc struck the Cerberus on the face again. This time it wasn't just bleeding, the wound was so deep that the bones were visible. Woo. Woo woo woo. What's strange is that the injury is obviously more serious this time, but the Cerberus is no longer angry, but has entered an extremely calm state, and can only keep making low growls. This thing shouldn't have a second form. Qin Lang frowned. As soon as he finished speaking, the shape of the Cerberus began to change, and the heads around its neck began to expand and became extremely huge. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. we cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 183, The Magical Uses of Mushrooms. The ring of heads around the Cerberus's neck expanded crazily at a speed visible to the naked eye. In just 10 seconds, it became the size of a wash basin. Hundreds of heads were crowded together, making people's hair stand on end. What surprised Qin Lang the most was what came next. The pupils of these heads began to condense with light, and terrifying power was brewing, which made his skin crawl. You can't do this trick forcefully, you'll die. Qin Lang made an instant judgment. He turned and flew towards Minna. Two eagle claws suddenly grew out of his chest, and grabbed Minna's shoulders firmly. He immediately flew towards the direction of the mushroom formation. As for Minna, his strength was sucked away. Lead Abo and others. Qin Lang didn't even look at them. It's not that it can't be saved, but it's simply not necessary. Come on the street. Minna faced the Cerberus, and could see the actions of the Cerberus. At this time, she blurted out swear words in her hometown. Qin Lang saw everything that happened to the Cerberus through the eyeballs behind him. Countless heads were here. When it was aimed at him, the colorful light beams converged into one, and they were about to be activated. Third gear. Leopard's keenness. Qin Lang changed his form in time, and his flying speed immediately doubled. At the same time, the beam of light shot from behind, grazing Qin Lang's fleshy wings, and disappeared into the distance. Boss. Invincible hurriedly drove the car to the place where Qin Lang fell. Are you okay, boss? Qin Lang shook his head, threw Minna into the car, and got in. Let's go. Although Qin Lang didn't expect to be able to kill the Cerberus with a combat power of 13 in one go, when the fact happened, he still felt a little uncomfortable. There is a big gap between a 13-year-old monster and a 13-year-old human. In terms of physical strength, it is difficult for humans to compete with it, not to mention that there is also the hunger debuff here. After driving for more than 10 kilometers in one go, Qin Lang was relieved when he was sure that the hellhound was not chasing him. Rest here first and recover your strength. Qin Lang took out the pot. Woody and Wang Ai helped out with the bowls and pans, and quickly made a simple camping bonfire. Qin Lang threw the fish into the pot and cooked it, and soon the aroma filled the air. He picked up 2 pieces of fatty fish, and put them into his mouth. As the fish melted, Qin Lang's body became full of strength again. You have to be very hungry with Borao. Minna didn't look very impressive when eating, and her sitting posture was even more bold, with her arms stretched out like a man. Soon the large pot of fish was eaten and wiped clean. Wu Wei and Wang Ai also ate 2 pieces, and also tasted the delicious fish soup. I'm full. What should I say now? Should I go back and continue to fight it, or should I change the target? It is impossible for Cerberus to unleash an attack of the magnitude just now. Besides, its physical strength has been consumed a lot by us, so we must pursue it in a victorious manner. Qin Lang stood up and said to Woody and Wang Ai, go back the same way and wait for us at the old place. Give it back, go back. Woody was speechless for a while. Near the lava cave, there is a messy battlefield. When Qin Lang and Minna returned here, the Cerberus had disappeared, leaving only a large amount of mottled blood on the ground. Minna looked at the few people headed by Lead Abo, and couldn't help but be happy. You are not dead, you are so lucky. Lead Abo said with a sad face. Sister Ziona, please stop doing this. I know I was wrong. I won't cheat your card anymore. I'll give the card back to you. Can you please spare us until this moment? Lead Abo still thought that Minna was buying. This chapter is not finished yet. Click on the next chapter to continue reading chapter 183. The miraculous uses of mushrooms. The matter of the blood was specifically for revenge against him. Minna laughed heartily. Lead Abo, are you stupid? I'm also the boss of the 3 major forces, so I will retaliate against you for such a trivial matter. Come, eat meat, replenish your physical strength. Minna thoughtfully stuffed the pieces of meat to the 6 of them. Sister Ziona, what are you doing? Lead Abo was frightened. Minna smiled and said, don't I feel a little sorry for you? I want to make it up to you. What about the monster? Qin Lang asked. It blasted just now. When it didn't hit you, it went back to the cave. It didn't even look at us. Lead Abo replied quickly. Qin Lang nodded, and after giving Mina a look, he came to the entrance of the cave and threw another bundle of explosives in. The sound of the explosion was still there, and the roar of the Cerberus was even more earth-shattering, but after a long time, the Cerberus was not seen coming out. It looks like it was seriously injured. Qin Lang looked at the time, and there was still an hour before the cooling of his trump card 20D multiplier dice ended. I don't recommend going down. We don't know what the environment is inside yet. I'm not stupid. How could I go down there? Qin Lang took out new explosives. He had saved a lot of them in the early days of the end of the world, but later they basically lost their usefulness as the combat power increased. Now they can be used to get the mentality of Cerberus. If only Cerberus had a mentality. If you don't come up, then don't blame me for being rude. Qin Lang smiled and threw the explosives down from the hole, and the roaring explosions came one after another. Listening carefully, the roars of hellhounds came from the bottom of the cave. If you don't come up yet, let's see how long you can hold on. /U003 CBR /U003 Qin Lang threw a lot of explosives, grenades, and detonators into the cave, and mixed some mushrooms with debuffs, such as explosive mushrooms, stinky mushrooms, flame mushrooms, vomiting mushrooms, poisoning mushrooms, etc. To some extent, the quality of these mushrooms is much higher than that of explosive grenades. The reason why Qin Lang did not use them is the same as that of explosives. Their existence is embarrassing, and there was no chance to use them in the past. Boom. This explosion was obviously not as violent as before, but the effect was much better than before. In a roar of anger, the hellhound rushed out with a stinking body. The head on its neck had already returned to its original state, and even shriveled. Roar, roar, roar. The hellhound was really mad. It seems that you are more afraid of stench. Yes, hellhound, the nose of canine creatures is many times that of ordinary creatures. Qin Lang nodded repeatedly, and before the hellhound rushed over, he took the lead in throwing out 2 purple mushrooms as big as casseroles. The stinky mushrooms exploded in the air, and the purple air filled the air. The hellhound took only one sniff, turned around and ran, coughing as it ran. Qin Lang burst into laughter. If he had known that stinky mushrooms were so useful to monsters, he should have planted more of them in the base camp. The path of the mushroom herder doesn't look very good, but the auxiliary ability is really strong. Qin Lang admitted that he had underestimated the skill damage of this path before. On the other side, seeing that Qin Lang successfully controlled the hellhound, Mina also took the opportunity to attack. The two cooperated more and more skillfully. In less than 10 minutes, the hellhound had more than a dozen wounds on its body, and it fled back to the cave in a panic. Escape. Let's see where you can escape to. Qin Lang threw out the stinky mushroom again without any martial ethics. Chapter 184 Genetic Modification and Eggs. A lot of resentment flashed through. At least let me rest for a while. Woody and Wang Ai looked at each other and saw that Li Dabio, a cook, was so valued. They had a new idea about how to go in the future. A feast of dog meat. Everyone's mouths were filled with oil. Before I knew it, it was late at night, and the full moon was hanging high. Qin Lang was closing his eyes to rest when he suddenly felt something furry tugging at his face. When he opened his eyes, he saw it was Ziohei. What's wrong? Qin Lang sat up and saw at a glance Qze, who dug himself into the soil and disguised himself as an environmental plant every time he fought. At this time, it was holding a huge egg in its hand, which was 1 meter high and looked very heavy. Where did it come from? Qin Lang clicked his tongue and marveled. This guy looks very social at first glance, otherwise he wouldn't have so many tattoos on himself. Qzi gently put down the social egg and pointed to the cave behind him. Qin Lang instantly understood that the two pets had nothing to do at night and ran in to explore and found the egg deep in the cave. In other words, this is a Cerberus egg. Qin Lang held his chin and looked around the social egg. But how does this thing hatch? I don't understand. Ziohei licked his paw. Meow. Cultivation with blood. Are you sure? Meow. Meow. Ziohei nodded affirmatively. Qin Lang didn't hesitate much, cut his right hand open, and dripped blood on the egg. It's amazing to say that the moment the eggshell touches the blood, the lines on the shell immediately start to sparkle. As the blood drips more and more, the creature inside the shell begins to awaken. Qin Lang clearly feels that there is a fragile creature inside. You're going to be pretty banged up if you re-up late at night with these eggs hatching. Mina rubbed her eyelids and came closer. Qin Lang laughed it off and concentrated on raising eggs with blood. The whole process lasted more than half an hour. The creature that absorbed a large amount of Qin Lang's blood began to work hard to break out of its shell. As 5-star General MacArthur once said, an egg broken from the outside is food, broken from the inside is delicious food. The shell breaking process lasted for more than 3 hours, and it was not until dawn that a little head came out. The slimy, dirty little head has nothing to do with cuteness. Instead, it gives people a slightly disgusting feeling. However, when the little creature came out of the shell, Qin Lang couldn't help but pick it up and take a closer look. How should I put it? This thing is a replica of the Cerberus. The only difference may be that it has not yet grown a dense head on its neck. Oh. Well, it sounds quite silly to scream. The cub opened his eyes, pushed him head hard against Qin Lang, and opened his mouth wide. Mina lost no time in teasing. I'm looking for you to breastfeed. I don't have it. How about you come get out of here? Mina immediately turned her back. Qin Lang looked at the leftover broth from last night and hesitated. Is it not good? That is its mother's soup after all. Forget it. Let's just eat fish. Qin Lang took out a piece of raw fish and stuffed it into the cub's mouth. The cub cheered and felt happy when he ate it. Q boy, you and Zhao take good care of it. Qin Lang handed the cub to Qze and then stuffed a large piece of fish into the pocket on Qze's belly. Qze couldn't put it down for this cub and nodded repeatedly. It's dawn. What's our next goal? Mina blinked her big eyes. I want to eat fish. Qin Lang grinned. It was obvious which monster he should attack next. Chapter 185. Change. Tao's move. Early morning. The color of fish belly is white in the east. Qin Lang and his party came to the edge of the hunting ground, with the lake in front of them. Be careful, someone is here. Qin Lang glanced at the vigilant Zhao and lowered his voice to remind him. Zhao innate sense of smell and sense of danger far exceed that of humans away, and disappeared without a trace. After a moment, Mina frowned. The people hiding in the tree are Dao Shen and Gulai's people. Why are these two gays here? Qin Lang's eyes were gloomy. It doesn't look like a coincidence to leave monster with 140,000 combat power and not attack it, but then come to find trouble with a monster with 160,000 combat power. According to the records in the unknown ancient book given by Mina, the number of guardian beasts with a combat power of 130,000 to 150,000 is the largest, with dozens of them. Obviously, 100,000 is a watershed, and 100,000 to 150,000 is another watershed. Mina was stunned. You mean old Liu Tao betrayed us? Qin Lang shook his head. I don't know. Let's take a look first. At that moment, several people retreated a distance, hid in the dense forest, and used military telescopes to observe the situation near the lake. At this time, no less than 100 people gathered by the lake, all from the God Team and the Scourge Legion. The one in black is the God of War, and the bearded one is Gulai. Mina pointed out the two leaders, and suddenly her eyes turned cold. Damn, old Liu Tao really betrayed us. In the crowd she saw the dejected old Liu Tao. Don't get excited, let's see what happens. Qin Lang was very patient. Lakeside. The God of War narrowed his narrow eyes and stared at the mirror like Lake. He hesitated. Although he already knew that the guardian beast spiderfish at the bottom of the lake was seriously injured, it would still be a monster with 160,000 combat power if it was injured again. The two of them had previously paid a heavy price when they teamed up to deal with the colorful python. You worried that we can't handle this spiderfish? Gulai touched his beard. In contrast, I'm more worried about Qin Lang, who is with Mina. He seriously injured a 160,000 power monster with a knife and brought Mina to gain 20 contribution points. I'm afraid his strength is better than ours. Fighting God said out of worry. Gulai smiled and said, combat power is not equal to combat power. As long as we join forces, even if he has 100,000 combat power, he will never come back. Fighting. God nodded. That's right. I'm overthinking it. Hey. Wait a minute. Are you ready, boss? You're ready. At this time, the elites of the two major shelters had buried a large amount of explosives in the open space near the lake, enough to blow up a 12-story skyscraper. Then, let's do it. Remember, this operation can only succeed, not fail. The fighting god waved his hand, and a group of people retreated towards the back and hid in the forest point. After a while, someone threw a yellow object into the lake point with just a hissing sound. Countless fish and shrimps in the lake were electrocuted to death and floated to the surface with their bellies turned upside down. Gudang gudang gudang. The bubbles in the lake surged, and the strange-looking spiderfish roared out and landed firmly on the shore. It had not been seen for a few days, and the wounds on its body had already scabbed over, but the lost flesh and blood could not be restored, making it look a bit miserable. The spiderfish looked around, roaring to find the murderer. At this moment, the god of war roared, and someone pulled the explosive fuse. There was just a bang, and the deafening explosion instantly enveloped the spiderfish. The spiderfish's huge body was swallowed up by the flames and explosions, and it screamed. The explosion lasted for a full 2 minutes, and when the smoke cleared, this chapter is not finished yet. Click on the next chapter to continue reading chapter 185 Mutation. Tao's move. Go. The spiderfish lay motionless and limp on the edge of the lake. A total of 8 spider legs were blown off without exception, and the body was covered with single pieces. The smell of burnt grilled fish spread, and Qin Lang could smell it clearly, confused from such a distance. Is this explosive so powerful? Qin Lang was a little. This shouldn't be the case. Mina whispered. Of course ordinary explosives are not that powerful, but it will be different if they are strengthened by the god of war. Strengthen, yes. Mina nodded. The god of war has a core skill called Golden Finger, which can strengthen weapons, props, skills, and even daily necessities. Mina touched in her storage space, took out a palm-sized piece, and handed it over. Qin Lang was stunned. What are you doing? I don't need this thing. This is Fizi, who has been strengthened by the god of war. Qin Lang suddenly couldn't laugh or cry. I really want to know what kind of mental state you were in when you got this thing. He strengthened this thing purely to insult me. Mina's face was gloomy. Of course I won't take it seriously. Qin Lang really didn't know much about Fizi, but he had never eaten pork and had always seen pigs running away. He found that the Fizi in his hand was very different from ordinary Fizi. It was several times more absorbent and very soft to the touch. More like skin. This skill is a bit interesting. Qin Lang's expression became serious. At this time, Dao Shen and Gulai, who were ambushing near the battlefield by the lake, saw the spiderfish paralyzed by the explosion and rushed out. They were very cautious, knowing that monsters of this level would not die so easily. They started shooting from dozens of meters apart, some with guns, some with bows, of course, all of them were strengthened. Whose rifle uses mortar shells? This is a rifle, right? Qin Lang was quite speechless, and at the same time he understood why Dao Shen could dominate one side. This ability was indeed abnormal. What skills does Gulai have? Mina lowered her voice and said, Gulai's core skill is the Dragon War God. In the dragon form, the combat power doubles. Of course, the duration will not be too long. It is a pure physical enhancement. Qin Lang nodded to show that he understood. A golden finger and a dragon war god, these two people together, the combat power increased, is not as simple as 1 plus 12. There is definitely a qualitative leap, and it must be guarded against. While thinking, the spiderfish was already covered with wounds. The bullets and arrows were clearly coated with poison, and blood of various colors flowed out of the wounds, which made Qin Lang marvel. This was the first time he witnessed militarized hunting in the true sense. 2 words. Awesome. Gilu. No matter what, the spiderfish is a monster with 160,000 combat power. Even if it was beaten like this, it still did not die. It wailed and twisted its body to try to get into the lake. Unfortunately, Dao Shen and his men were well prepared. A huge black steel net fell and bound the spiderfish tightly. Old boo. Dao Shen roared. Gulai laughed. Gulai opened his arms, howled to the sky, and pieces of scales covered his body. In an instant, he turned into a dragon man. He jumped up with a giant axe in his loudly hand. Do it. Qin Lang shouted and rushed out with Minipoint, but at this moment, something strange happened. Countless white worms emerged from the ground and enveloped the spiderfish, and then the huge spiderfish disappeared. Ah. What's going on? Fuck. Not only Dao Shen and his group were stunned, but Qin Lang was also stunned. He almost forgot how he got to this N10 area. Tao Gangming. Qin Lang gritted his teeth, but he could do nothing but watch the white worms drill into the ground and disappear. Chapter 186 Temporary Alliance. No one can bear to change someone else's wedding dress. Several people looked at me, and I looked at you, but they were all helpless. Mina said at this time, Gulai, can't you summon a spirit dog? Why, it's already this time, and you still don't want to use it. Gulai glared, you fart. My spirit dog can only be used one last time. It is my life-saving trump card. Why should I use it? Old. Goo, it's time now, so don't worry so much. The worst that can happen is that after you kill Tao Gangming, you can get 10% more of the loot. Dao Shen also tried to persuade him. No. Gulai said dully, I want to take half. You must be greedy now, I do not mind. Dao Shen's words were interrupted by Qin language. Qin Lang spread his hands and said, the top priority is to kill Tao Gangming before he is promoted. I don't care if I don't take the spoils. This is what you said, but forget it about the spirit dog. Since this bastard dares to trick me, he must do it. Gulai cursed and took out a Dim King's card, tore it open with force, and with a click, as the King's card disappeared, a cloud of white smoke rose up, turning into a 3-meter tall giant K9 creature. The K9 creature sniffed the air and barked twice at Gilly. This bastard is in the north, 20 miles away, and is moving. Come in. Gulai took the lead in entering the spirit dog's body, followed closely by Dao Shen. Qin Lang followed in with a curious look on his face. When his hand touched the spirit dog, it penetrated directly without any obstruction. It's such a good thing, no wonder I don't want to use it. It can be used for tracking and escaping. It's also an awesome vehicle. Qin Lang nodded repeatedly, wanting to have it, but unfortunately he didn't. Just stay here and don't run around. We'll be back as soon as we go. Go. Lai informed him, and immediately controlled the spirit dog to escape into the ground point in the pitch dark crust point. A group of white worms madly rushed in one direction, dragging the dying spiderfish behind them. Tao Gangming looked haggard, as if he had aged several decades, but at this moment, a satisfied smile hung on his wrinkled face. Ever since he was beaten up by Lin Wanner and Li Guoguo in the Inn district that day, Tao Gangming knew that he would starve to death sooner or later if he continued to stay in the Inn district, so he went out hunting and accidentally discovered Dao Shen and Gulai's expedition team. Through eavesdropping, he learned that they were going to deal with a monster with a combat power of 160,000. After thinking for a long time, he decided to be a mantis catching a cicada, while the Oriole was behind, and hid his body under the explosive pit. Tao Gangming's idea was very simple. If the hunt was successful, he would drag the spiderfish away, like he was doing now. If he failed, it didn't matter. More than 100 people were enough for him to use for many days. Whether he won or lost, he would be the winner in the end. Bashan will be promoted soon. A monster with 160,000 combat power. Tut tut tut. What kind of concept is this? Ha ha ha. Tao Gangming couldn't help laughing wildly. Suddenly, he noticed that 4 powerful auras were approaching him, much faster than the white worm. What? They also have the ability to escape into the earth? Tao Gangming was shocked. In the time he was stunned, the spirit dog had already appeared in the dark crust with 4 people. You bastard. Where are you going? Dao Shen grinned. Ah. You ready to die? Gulai roared. Get ready. Tao Gangming was very single. He roared and did not stop at all. He turned into a white worm and continued to move forward. Chapter 187. Villain Behavior. Tao Gangming's white worm was not fast to begin with, but now it had a huge spiderfish tied to its back, which slowed it down to the greatest extent, and could not compare with the spirit dog. In a few breaths, the spirit dog came to Tao Gangming's side. Both sides moved forward side by side. Fighting God had a sinister smile on his face. You bastard, you stole my chicken. Who the hell do you think you are? Tao Gongming's face was gloomy. He didn't say a word. He just kept his head down and hurried forward. Fighting God chuckled. Leo Gu, give him some color. Look. When Gulai swung the giant axe, the god of war chanted an inexplicable spell, and then Gulai's giant axe began to sparkle and expand in size. This should be the strengthening effect. It's interesting. Qin Lang was not in a hurry to take action, because although Dao Shen and Gulai are currently allies, they will fall out if they are not fully protected. Knowing more about them only has advantages and no disadvantages. Ho. Ho ho. Look at the axe, old thief. Gulai roared, and the giant axe struck out fiercely. With a click, a gap was cut out of the fat white insect, and white liquid splashed everywhere. A trace of pain appeared on Tao Gongming's face. The white insect just has super defensive capabilities, which does not mean it is invincible. If it suffers damage exceeding the threshold, it will still be injured, and the most straightforward manifestation of injury is the flow of white fluid. Haha, the old bastard is quite durable. Let's see how many times you can take it. Gulai was so angry that he could not be polite to Tao Gongming. While controlling the spirit dog to get close to the white insect, he slashed the giant axe crazily. He struck with the axe more than 10 times in a row. Blood overflowed from Tao Gongming's mouth. He cursed with blood spurting from his mouth. You damn it. Don't let me slow down. I'll kill you first. You're still showing off at this time. Gulai was unhappy when he heard this and gave him a few more blows. That's enough. Stop cutting it. Tao Gongming suddenly changed his mind and begged for mercy. This spider fish is very important to me. I had no choice but to take it from you. Whatever compensation you want, as long as I have it, I will give it to you. Well, this is like speaking to a weak person. Attitude. Gulai nodded. Stop immediately and kowtow to me 3 times. I may consider sparing your life. Tao Gongming said angrily. That's too much. Do you want to humiliate me? I'm warning you. Keep a line in your behavior so that we can meet each other easily in the future. If you really push me, I will fight you to the death. Gulai laughed loudly. It won't stop, right? Then I'll continue. Qin Lang, who was watching the battle from behind, frowned and said, don't be nagging him. This guy is quarreling with you just to delay time. Gulai rolled his eyes at Qin Lang. You think I don't know, but I've seen it a long time ago. Delaying time is of no use. Apart from letting me chop more axes, it can't change any results. Mina said, it's a long night and a lot of dreams. Can we do it quickly? If you don't have the ability, just get out of the way and I'll take action. Gulai glared angrily. Shut up. Look, I'll kill him now. Gulai raised his axe again and struck down, but this time Tao Gongming did not choose to be beaten. Instead, he let countless white insects transform into spears and stabbed Gulai in the chest. An axe for a gun. Gulai hummed, and the spirit dog suddenly accelerates to the side to avoid the gunfire. Bastard. Do you still dare to fight back? Puff. The spear made of hundreds of white worms was cut off on the spot, and Tao Gongming vomited blood again. You are going too far. Tao Gongming's mouth was full of blood and he said, I'm just too hungry. I urgently need to supplement my nutrition. What's wrong with me? It's starting again. Fighting. God shook his hands. Tao Gongming, there is no point in delaying your time. Is it possible that this chapter is not finished yet? Click on the next chapter to continue reading chapter 187. Villain behavior are the reinforcement. Qin Lang couldn't sit still at this time. You guys get out of the way. I'll kill him. He also obeyed Dao Shen and Gulai. He knew that the other party was stalling for time, so why were they delaying? He must have a quick victory. Unnecessary. Gulai raised his hand to stop him. I'm going to torture this old guy to death. Give me a boost. Coming. Dao Shen is strengthened by Gulai's axes before point. After the strengthening was completed, Gulai began a new round of killing, slashing with axe after axe. Something's wrong. Seeing that Tao Gongming was covered in blood and his breath was getting weaker and weaker, Qin Lang had a very strong ominous feeling, because he found that Tao Gongming's face was covered with blood, but his expression became more and more excited. There must be something ahead. Stop him quickly. Don't let him move forward. Qin Lang shouted. Gulai reacted and was about to control the spirit dog to chase forward, but his body stopped inexplicably. Hey, what's going on? Why is there an air wall here? Gulai looked puzzled. Wall? Of air? Qin Lang's head buzzed, and he finally understood why Tao Gangming had been escaping in this direction, because this is where the safety zone is, and Zhu. Mina realized it later and slapped her forehead. Fuck. You two are so gay. You fell into the trap. You can't kill him now, even if you want to. What? What do you mean? At this time, Tao Gangming had disappeared from sight, and when he reappeared, he was already on the surface. He was covered in bruises and naked, but his expression was surprisingly crazy. He was lying on the ground laughing wildly. Haha, haha haha. Not far away are Li Guoguo and Lin Wan, who are making rice in a pot. Son. They looked at each other, a little confused. What's wrong with this old man? At this moment, several rays of light flashed, and Qin Lang, Mina, Dao Shen and Gulai all appeared on the surface. Qin Lang. The two women were overjoyed. Qin Lang reached out and took them into his arms, then stared at Tao Gangming. Asshole, I'll kill you. Dao Shen and Gulai rushed forward and tried to attack Tao Gangming, but the result was naturally ineffective. Tao Gangming was already seriously injured and would not be harmed by the outside world. He said gloomily, wait for my Bei Shen to be promoted successfully, and I will kill you first. Then it will be you two bitches. Tao Gangming's eyes were extremely vicious. Qin Lang sighed and briefly told the two women what happened. The two women looked at each other when they heard it. It's obvious that he could be killed easily, but he had to do some cruel killing and ended up letting this old pervert escape to the safe zone for this kind of behavior. My evaluation is 999. 6 turns. Gulai's face turned pale. You've had enough. Believe it or not, I'll chop you. Qin Lang glanced at him. You want to chop my woman? Let's go out and show us how to fight. Gulai narrowed his eyes and sat on the ground. I'm too lazy to do things that don't benefit me. What should I do now? Qin Lang said faintly. Don't ask me. Ask your good brother. Our cooperation ends here. Tao Gangming is already in the safe zone. It's too late to say anything now. It will take a long time for a large monster like the spiderfish to devour. During this time, should we? Mina lowered her voice very low. Chapter 188 Soul Contract. Foursome. When the blood entered the scroll, Qin Lang suddenly felt some pain in his right hand. When he looked carefully, he saw a group of purple breath quietly entering the pattern representing the sunflower on his right hand. This is Qin Lang was surprised, but found that others did not see the key, and he couldn't help but feel happy. It seems that the soul contract also has loopholes, and its rules will be swallowed up by the fantasy world of apostle skills. In other words, this soul contract has no restrictions on him. Certainly. Qin Lang will not tell anyone this secret, including Mina. Okay, after signing this soul contract, from today until 30 days later, we are a family. We need to take more care of each other. Dao Shen laughed. Which monster should we defeat next? Qin Lang returned to the topic. A dragon lizard worth 140,000 yuan. Dao Shen said, I fought Leogu once about that thing. Apart from its thicker skin, I haven't found any other characteristics so far. It should be easy to kill. I have no objection. Mina spread her hands. Then, let's set off now. Qin Lang stood up, gave the two girls a few words, and gave them a lot of colorful cards. To pay for the security area, keep an eye on Tao Gangming for me. If there is anything unusual, leave the security area secretly and let me know. I know Wana and I will definitely keep an eye on this old thing 24 hours a day. Li Guoguo nodded vigorously. Be careful. After this period of rest, Tao Gangming's body has recovered to a certain extent. He sat not far from everyone. He grinned and said, the day when Bei Shen is promoted, it will be the time of your death. Idiot. If you have the guts, stop barking and come out for a duel. /U003 Tao. Gangming smiled ferociously. I'll let you jump around for a few days. You have no idea how terrifying Bei Shen is. Let's go. Let's go. Why bother with him? Qin Lang urged. The four people returned the same way and soon arrived at the edge of the hunting area, where more than 100 people were waiting. From today on, our three major shelters are allies. No one is allowed to hurt each other. These are guests, and must be treated with the highest standards. You protect them, and I will bring you delicious food when I return to the shelter. Gulai and Dao Shen passed on the order. Boss, let's wait for your good news at the shelter first. Wu Di said with a reluctant expression. Wang. Wang. AI was stunned, as, for your fiancé, I'll help you after I finish solving the major issue at hand. Thank you for remembering this. Wang AI nodded gratefully. After arranging where the younger brothers would go, the four of them took the spirit dog to the habitat of the dragon lizard. Night falls, a swamp filled with poisonous fog. A creature that looked like a crocodile was lying in the swamp, revealing a pair of vertical pupils that were larger than the water tank. I'm here to strengthen your weapons. The god of war rolled up his sleeves and strengthened Gulai's giant axe, Qin Lang's ice and fire swords, and Mina's sword. My fighting ability is average. Rather than expending my energy on painless attacks, I would rather I'll help you strengthen it. Is there any truth to it? Gulai raised his axe. Well, one more for you is not more, and one for you less is not more. You can just watch the performance of the three of us from behind. If you are timid, you are timid. Why do you have to sound so arrogant? Mina rolled her eyes at him. Chapter 189. This night. Okay, now is not the time to quarrel. Qin Lang shouted to stop the bickering between the two. Time is running out. Kill the monsters first, and you can quarrel as much as you want during the break. After saying that, Qin Lang suddenly opened a pair of flesh wings behind his back and used air control to control the ice and fire swords to fly towards the dragon lizard in the swamp. This sudden transformation started both Dao Shen and Gulai Kid can actually fly. When Qin Lang and the others officially fought with the dragon lizard, the god of war took out the combat power detector in a thief manner, but it exploded with a bang, and the lens barely took away one of his eyeballs. Naturally, this kind of sneaky little move couldn't be hidden from Qin Lang's eyes. He sneered. Didn't anyone tell you that the combat power detector cannot detect humans with a combat power of 99 or above and will explode? 99 and above. Dao Shen was speechless, swallowed deeply, and said harshly, I didn't want to test you. I just wanted to test the monster. Oh. Qin Lang laughed it off and let them know that he had better combat power and at least he would not have any evil intentions, which was equivalent to another layer of insurance in addition to the soul contract. With Qin Lang as the main attacker, Gulai and Mina as auxiliary attackers, and Dao Shen as the auxiliary, the super team killed monsters with ridiculous efficiency. The dragon lizard with a combat power of 140,000 had no chance to resist, and was killed in a few rounds of fierce attacks. Yes, it took less than 10 minutes. Qin Lang chopped off the huge lizard's tail and threw it to the edge of the open space. We will eat this later. Fighting god, you can roast it. Okay. As the master of the sanctuary and one of the three giants of N10, Dao Shen was just like an errand boy setting up a bonfire to grill more than 100 kilograms of dragon lizard tails. As for the dragon lizard's flesh and blood, it was in accordance with the terms of the soul contract. All belonged to Mina. Now, my contribution is 39, and this dragon lizard only added 12. Don't worry, we should be able to do it before dawn. If you kill another one, you can almost open the underground palace in 2 days, but you don't know what the things in the underground palace are. Qin Lang took out a cigarette, and Dao Shen smiled and came over to help him light it. Brother Qin, I have a proposal. I don't know if it is feasible or not. Brother Qin. Lang was so happy. It was so shameless. Tell me, what's the proposal? After Tao Gongming is defeated, we can form a team for a long time. No bragging, no slander, just a team of 4 of us. We will definitely be the invincible one in the world. Fighting God's eyes were shining. I have heard your calculations abroad. Don't you just see Qin Lang's high combat power, so you want to hug him? Mina sneered. Fighting God glared and said, I'm talking here. What does it have to do with you? Can't you stop eating? Yes, I just want to hug my thigh. Why can't I? Who stipulates that the owner of the shelter cannot hug his thigh? Question mark. Yes, you are arrogant, and you don't hold your own. Then leave the team, and go fight those monsters yourself. You. Mina was furious. The god of war said to Qin Lang in a flattering manner, "Brother Qin, as long as we farm monsters vigorously, there will be so many cards. What kind of woman will we want? Minna, that is, the best quality, is far from the best. What the hell am I sitting here listening to?" Minna was furious. If it hadn't been restricted by the soul contract, she would have given Dao Shen a few blows. It would be an absolute lie to say that you are not moved by Dao Shen's proposal. Point in the battle with the dragon lizard just now, Qin Lang experienced for the first time how worry-free it was to have reliable teammates in the fight at this point. This chapter is not finished. Click on the next chapter to continue reading chapter 189. This night Zhu Yun and Leo Li didn't feel it when they were around, because at that time, the team hunted relatively weak monsters, and powerful monsters were often defeated by him alone. Call exhaling a cloud of smoke, Qin Lang said quietly, "We can consider it after we kill Tao Gangming, and we have no worries fighting." God grinned. "I knew that, Brother Qin. You are a well-organized person, not like that bitch. I'm going to attack you. It's my family's property." Minna was so angry that she even yelled out her native dialect. "Okay, let's rest for an hour and set off in an hour." After Qin Lang had eaten and drank enough, he came to the tree and lay down with his clothes on. Just as he was squinting his eyes to recharge his batteries, he smelled a faint scent of a woman's body. He opened half of his eyes and looked around, but it was Minna sitting next to him, with a wicked smile on her lips. "Why can't you sleep? Manage." Qin Lang couldn't laugh or cry. Needless to say, this woman is quite aware of the crisis. Fighting God just made a few jokes and actually came over and offered himself a pillow seat. Qin Lang was not polite, hugging her and escaping into the darkness. In this scene, Dao Shen and Gulai were not behind their backs. The two looked at each other and shook their heads. "What's good about women? I mean, what's so good about women? Whose rectum doesn't have a 37-degree angle? I really don't know how to appreciate it." Gulai nodded in agreement while trimming his beard. Point, "The picture is extremely weird." Point on the other side, and District Point Lin Wana stared at Tao Gangming, who was approaching. "You haven't been beaten enough, have you?" Tao Gangming smiled and sat down not far from the two girls. At this time, the wounds on his body were already gone. He recovered and said with a smile, "White God is devouring the spiderfish, and you will be promoted soon. You two girls not only have character, but also good looks. Why don't you hang out with me? I don't mind that you are not perfect. Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Even if that white god of yours gets promoted, you can't be Qin Lang's opponent." Lin Wana glared at him fiercely. Haha. Tao Gangming was not angry at all. Qin Lang is nothing. Let me tell you, this time Bei Shen is not as simple as being promoted once. The energy that the spiderfish brings to it is enough to promote it 2 to 3 times. By that time, my combat power will exceed 100,000. How much combat power does Qin Lang have? Oh, Qin Lang, 100,000? So powerful? Li Guoguo tapped Lin Wana, and the latter realized that she had said too much and shut up decisively. "Then, I really have to think carefully about whether I should jump ship and join you." Li Guoguo came to Tao Gangming and said with a smile, "Hey, you always talk about Bei Shen. What the hell is Bei Shen?" Tao Gangming blushed. "You are more sensible, unlike her. Bei Shen is my core skill." "Then, why is it called White God?" "Because it is a white bug. That's because, ugh." Although Tao Gangming's IQ is not high, he still woke up instantly, smiled and closed his mouth. "Girl, you want to learn from this set of information from me and then tell your brother Qin, right? Do you really think I'm stupid? Look at what you said. You want us, but you don't believe us. How can you make us feel free to follow you?" Li Guoguo sighed and said in a womanly voice, "We weak women just want to be attached. A powerful man. It doesn't matter to us who this man is. It can be Qin Lang, or of course it can be you." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 190, Tao's Exit. Li Guoguo's words were like a hard screwdriver, easily prying open Tao Gongming's shell that was not so tight. As an old man who has been single for 46 years, he fell silent at this time. Seeing that Tao Gongming seemed to be taking the bait, Li Guoguo's eyes flashed with a hint of cunning, and she trotted to the campfire, filled a bowl of hot fish soup, and handed it to him. Here, what do you mean? Tao Gongming was stunned, and suddenly became angry. Do you think I'm a beggar? Do I need your charity? Fuck. Li Guoguo was furious, and threw the bowl down. If you like to drink, get out of here. If you don't, I just want to ease the relationship with you. I'm really hot on my face, but cold on my ass. Roll, 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 roll. Disappear as far as you can, Tao. Gongming touched the stubble on his chin and suddenly laughed. Why are you so excited? Come on, give me a bowl of fish soup. Don't you have any hands? Go and serve it yourself. Li Guoguo turned her back and made a face at Lin Wana, communicating mentally. Wana, let's see how I can trick this old pervert into turning his lips into a pervert. Lin Wana, who did you learn this from? Li Guoguo still needs teaching. Ever since I got together with Qin, I have somehow mastered this technique. Men conquer the world by force, and women conquer the world by conquering men. All things are interdependent. Tao Gongming sat by the campfire and drank several bowls of fish soup. Then he patted his belly and said with satisfaction, "It's really delicious. Come on, girl, don't be angry. I just got angry on purpose. Who is your girl? Don't pay attention to me. I'm annoyed. Let's go to sleep." Li Guoguo took Lin Wana's hand and went to the thatched house to rest. They built it themselves when they had nothing to do in district. It was just right for two people. Looking at the extinguished fire in the thatched house, Tao Gongming giggled, thinking that this could be done. If Li Guoguo just flattered her, Tao Gongming would definitely not take her seriously. But the current situation is that Li Guoguo actually lost her temper with him. Apparently she really wanted to be with him. Tao Gongming looked up at the night sky and fell happily asleep. 2 days later at noon. The sun is shining and the sky is clear with the roar of the monster. The ground shook. A monster that resembled a pangolin was beheaded. At the same time, Minna's body began to glow red and a bright rune appeared on the back of her right hand. 100. Done. The underground palace is calling me over. Minna was overjoyed. Okay, let's go there quickly and see what's hidden in the underground palace. At that moment, the four of them ran towards the underground palace as fast as possible. This side of district. After 2 days of getting along, Li Guoguo had completely eaten up Tao Gongming. Now she was sitting next to him, her big eyes flickering as she watched the changes in Tao Gongming's body. Circles of white lines were all over Tao Gongming's body, which was indescribably terrifying. The breath was released from his body. When Tao Gongming opened his eyes again, his pupils had changed. They were no longer white eyes and black eyes, but black eyes and white worm balls. Yes, Tao Gongming's eyes turned into the shape of insects. Sure enough, Bei Shen was directly promoted twice. Tao Gongming looked up to the sky and roared, "Who else in the world is my opponent? Ha 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 ha. Are you going out to kill people?" Li Guoguo felt heavy, but acted very calmly. Of course. Kill Dao Shen first, then Gulai, and finally your kin. This chapter is not finished yet. Click on the next chapter to continue reading chapter 190. Tao's escape. Brother, what, are you worried about him? Cut. Li Guoguo sneered, the weak prey on the strong. If he is really killed by you, it is because he is not strong enough. I'm worried that it will be useless. Do you want me to go with you? Are you going with me? Tao Gongming shook his head. No, if there is a fight later, the scene will be very chaotic, and I may not be able to protect you. Just stay in the safe area and wait for me to come back. This battle, there is no chance of me losing. Tao Gongming smiled ferociously and ran towards the entrance of district. At the same time, Qin Lang and his party have arrived near the underground palace. Just as they were about to go down, Qin Lang received a spiritual communication from Li Guoguo. Tao Gongming is looking for you. Be careful. His white worm was promoted twice. Qin Lang knows. Go back quickly. Li Guoguo must win. Otherwise your civet will really run away with another man. Qin Lang, don't worry. You can't run away. After ending the spiritual communication, Qin Lang's face darkened, and he informed about Tao Gongming's release from seclusion. Dao Shen cursed, "You damn thing, it's so fast. We just finished it, and he got out of seclusion." Gulai urged everyone, "Stop scolding and get the things from the underground palace quickly. Damn, my scalp is numb now." Not to mention Gulai, even Qin Lang also felt the inexplicable sense of oppression. "I'm going to open the underground palace." Mina gritted her teeth and rushed towards the underground palace. 100 meters away, the underground palace was quietly waiting for the return of its servants. Mina buried her head and rushed forward. Suddenly, a sound broke through the air. Before Mina could see what it was, her shoulder blades were shattered. She fell to the ground in pain and screamed repeatedly. "What the hell? Damn it, it's a bug." At this time, everyone saw clearly the hidden weapon that attacked Mina. It was a soft white worm. The white worm was crawling and was trampled to pieces by the god of war. "You chased me and chopped me that day. It was fun." Tao Gongming landed slowly on the ground like a god. His feet left the ground and floated in the air, opened his arms and said, "It's your turn to escape today." "Fuck, you're pretending. I chopped you to death that day, and I'll do the same today." Gulai roared, turned into a dragon, and chopped Tao Gongming with the strengthened giant axe. Tao Gongming ignored it until the giant axe was about to fall. Then he slowly opened his right hand and grabbed the axe blade. Ah! Gulai was shocked. He found that, no matter how much force he used, the giant axe could not move. Tao Gongming threw it casually, and the giant axe and Gulai flew out and hit the ground dozens of meters away, plowing a deep gully in the ground. "Fuck. So exaggerated." The god of fighting was shocked. Tao Gongming smiled, and countless white worms fell out of his trouser legs, carrying him like clouds. "Kneel down, surrender. I will spare your life. Kneel down, your mother." The god of fighting cursed, but his body retreated 2 steps and came behind Qin Lang. "Brother Qin, I will help you strengthen." "Beat him." Qin Lang narrowed his pupils slightly and had to admit that Tao Gongming gave him a very strong sense of oppression. "You choose to fight with me." Tao Gongming was not in a hurry and let the god of fighting strengthen Qin language do. "I have a choice." Qin Lang sneered. Tao Gongming shook his fingers. "It is unwise to use a knife against a god." Chapter 191 The Awakener. "What are you pretending to be? You really think you are a god?" Mina gritted her teeth and took out a medicine bottle to heal her shoulder blade. Qin Lang glanced at her and whispered, "This guy's not something you can deal with. I will find a way to hold him back while you find an opportunity to open the underground palace." Mina looked serious. "You're not even sure you can kill him? Are you finished?" Qin Lang was not belittling himself, but Tao Gongming made him feel really bad. It was an unprecedented sense of oppression. "Okay, I'll try my best." Mina gritted her teeth. At this time, Gulai, who was thrown away, ran back in disgrace with a sullen face and said nothing. "You." Tao Gongming pointed at Qin Lang. "It's very impressive, but it's a pity that you are a pseudo-awakened." Pseudo-awakening? This touched Qin Lang's cognitive blind spot. He had never heard similar words in his previous life for this life, and he didn't understand what it meant. "Oh. It seems that you don't know what awakening means. It's no wonder. After all, your combat power is raised by skills." Tao Gongming laughed. "When the combat power reaches 100,000, it will automatically awaken, and the body will awakening skills based on the cards you have enhanced before, such as." Tao Gongming opened his right hand, and a large number of white worms condensed into a spear. "This is one of my awakening skills, summoning the awakening weapon, the Spear of the White God. In addition, I have several awakening skills. I will try it with you today. Test the power." As soon as he finished saying the word power, Tao Gongming came to Qin Lang in a flash. This speed could hardly be described, but it reached the level of teleportation. Qin Lang was shocked and immediately deployed the Touch of Darkness to form a barrier. "It's no use." Tao Gongming swung a gun, and there was only a loud bang. The indestructible barrier immediately shattered. Qin Lang was also whipped and flew out. His right arm was completely broken, leaving only a strip of flesh and skin adhering to the bone. The heartbreaking pain made him feel Qin Lang couldn't help but groan. "This the power is terrifying." Sweat broke out on Qin Lang's forehead. Tao Gongming ignored Dao Shen and Mina, who were already frightened. He walked straight towards Qin Lang and said with a smile, "Awakened people are a brand new species and have absolute suppression on non-awakened people. In other words, even if you have the power to fight now, you can't be my opponent if you are taller than me because you are pseudo-awakened." "What's true? I'm afraid it's not that easy to kill me." Qin Lang exhaled heavily and his right arm visibly recovered. On this brand new arm, a row of vertical eyeballs grew. "Oh, yeah." Tao Gongming suppressed his smile and his body disappeared again. When he appeared in front of Qin Lang again, he swung a gun, but unfortunately, the shot failed and Qin Lang appeared more than 10 meters away. "If a pair of eyes can't catch your speed, then just be longer." Qin Lang pointed to the eyeball on his arm. "I told you, it's not that easy for you to kill me." "Cut." Tao Gongming sneered. "I haven't even used my strength yet, and you've handed me my ultimate move. What are you going to do with me? Now, I'll let you try my awakening technique. Dazzling flowers." Tao Gongming brought up a series of after images, swung his gun continuously, and attacked almost 360 degrees without blind spots. Faced with such a ferocious offensive, Qin Lang dared not fight head on. He sprouted 4 pairs of flesh wings and flew out upside down. "It turns out you only know how to talk and avoid." Tao Gongming chased after him. Qin Lang remained silent. When the two sides were far apart, a longbow suddenly appeared above his head. This was something he hadn't used for a long time. This chapter is not finished. Click the next chapter to continue reading chapter 191. The Awakened at Dawn. Dozens of arrows were fired, turning Tao Gongming's body into a hedgehog on the spot. But it was of no use. It only took a few seconds for Tao Gongming to recover as before. He chased after him with a smile. "It's useless. Bei Shen's self-healing ability is the best in the world. As long as you can't find my weakness, all your attacks will be effective against me. It's all invalid for me, you think. I expect to kill you with these arrows? Look above your head." Tao Gongming suddenly raised his head, his pupils suddenly condensed, and the ice and fire swords appeared above his head at some unknown time. At this time, they had already completed the charging, and a large ray of light enveloped them. This is Qin Lang's signature skill, the Holy Slash. Fuck. Making noises in the east and attacking in the west. As soon as Tao Gongming finished speaking, his body was immersed in the dazzling light. Damn thing. Tao Gongming quickly completed the physical reconstruction, but Qin Lang had already run away, leaving only a black spot. "Even if you run away to the end of the world, I will kill you." Tao Gongming opened his arms with a ferocious expression, and countless white insects condensed into white flesh wings, and turned into a white light, and rushed over the other side. Mina, Dao Shen and Gulai took advantage of the fierce battle between Tao Gongming and Qin Lang to rush into the underground palace and successfully opened the secret of the underground palace. "This is..." Mina stared blankly at the giant blade floating in the air. It was a 2-meter long giant knife with various totems of guardian beasts all over the blade. Mina took the knife off, but because the giant blade was too heavy, she without grabbing it, it hit the floor with a bang, and the hard ground was chopped into pieces like tofu. Beast suppressing knife. Mina closed her eyes and received the information transmitted to her from the blade body. After a few breaths, Mina said ecstatically, "Good thing, as long as I have this sword, I can definitely kill Tao Gongming. Let's go." "Wait, there are still a lot of cards here. Look at your little ability, do the business first, and then come back to get the cards. Are you afraid that they will run away?" Mina urged, and the three of them returned the same way. On the way, Mina called Qin Lang and told him that she had obtained the secret treasure of the underground palace. "Okay, I'll go back now, and you three don't run around." Qin Lang said it lightly, but in fact he was in a mess. His body was stabbed with at least a dozen holes, and blood was gushing out of the wounds. Tao Gongming laughed grimly and chased him relentlessly. This was the first time in his life that he felt a hearty battle. Die. 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 Qin Lang dodged left and right, and after avoiding a large number of attacks, he suddenly circled and flew in the direction he came from. "I'll see where you run." Awakening skill. Flash. Tao Gongming roared, and the white spear turned into a light arc. The next second, it directly penetrated Qin Lang's body. Puff. Qin Lang's body fell heavily to the ground, spitting blood. It hurts. Qin Lang endured the severe pain and continued to run towards the underground palace point thanks to Qin Lang's strong body and the improvement of genetic modification. Except for him, at this stage of human beings, he didn't think anyone could take the awakening skill without dying. I still have to quickly upgrade to 100,000 combat power awakening. The awakened are really fucking terrifying. Qin Lang ran desperately and finally saw Minna and the other two who were rushing towards him a few minutes later. Go. Minna threw the beast suppressing knife directly and Qin Lang grabbed the knife. A lot of information kept pouring into his mind. After a few breaths, he had understood the characteristics and usage of this knife point at this time. Tao Gongming had also caught up, looking down at everyone crazily, like a god. Chapter 192, Plan to kill Bei Shen. Oh, there's an extra knife, so what? Tao Gongming sarcastically asked, can you defeat me with this? Qin Lang first took out a recovery mushroom from the storage space and swallowed it whole. After recovering a little from his injuries, he said calmly, let's wait and see whether we can beat you. Ha 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 ha. Die. Awakening technique. Giant insect tide. Tao Gongming looked up to the sky and laughed wildly. As he waved his arms, countless white insects appeared out of thin air, and the insects fell like raindrops. Although the defense capabilities of these insects were not high, there were too many of them, and they instantly surrounded Minna, Dao Shen, and Gulai on the ground. The three tried their best to resist, but to no avail, and they were soon annihilated. Under the thick layer of white worms. How are you going to resist? Tao Gongming had an evil smile on his lips, as if he was a winner with a guaranteed victory. Resist? No, I have no intention of resisting. After Qin Lang said that, he took back his flesh wings and let the white insects devour him. Tao Gongming looked surprised. You're giving up resistance now? The next second, Qin Lang found himself in an inexplicable space. His hands and feet were bound by white worms. The beast suppressing knife fell not far away, and it was also covered with white worms. A little further away was Minna-san, who was also tortured. People, they found, no matter how hard they struggled, it was difficult to shake off the white bugs. Gilulu white. Water suddenly appeared on the ground, and Tao Gongming came out. He appeared in front of Qin Lang with his hands behind his back, and said with a strange expression, I don't know what your plan is, but I can tell you responsibly that with absolutely powerful power, all conspiracies and intrigues are nothing. Or, do you plan to break it from the inside? Tao Gongming said to himself, now that things have happened, I'm not afraid to tell you that breaking it from the inside is indeed a good way, because the place we are in now is Bei Shen's stomach, but this is impossible to accomplish, because, in Bei Shen's stomach, everyone's movements will be restricted except for me. Even you. I'm afraid it will be difficult to move at this time. Fine. After speaking, Tao Gongming quietly waited for Qin Lang's answer. Qin Lang was silent for a few seconds before speaking. You brought Wu Di and Wang Ai in before. Yes, these two traitors dare to play tricks on me. Once I kill you, I will go find them to settle the score. Tao Gongming became furious when he thought of Wu Di and Wang Ai, two rebels. His whole life's reputation was ruined in their hands. They told me something during one of our conversations. Qin Lang's tone was very calm and even gave people the feeling of leisurely strolling in his own back garden. Bei Shen cannot move while he is digesting. So, what? Tao Gongming raised his eyebrows. Whether it's a human, a beast, or an insect, your body will be very fragile when eating. I'm thinking, if a powerful being attacks the white god's shell, what should you use to resist it? What do you mean? Apart from you guys, is there any strong support outside? Are you talking about Invincible and the others? Ha ha ha, just by themselves, they can't even find me. Right, you guessed wrong. Qin Lang stuffed a piece of meat into his mouth and chewed it hard. The powerful existence I'm talking about refers to the guardian beasts in this area. Huh? Guardian beast? Tao Gongming was even more confused. Will the guardian beast still listen to your command? The words just fell. Tao Gongming was suddenly stunned for a moment. His eyes became extremely panicked. What's going on? What is that? This chapter is not finished yet. Click on the next chapter to continue reading chapter 192. Planning to kill Bei Shen. Boom. The huge space trembled, as if there was an earthquake. Except for Tao Gangming, no one can see the outside world. At this time, 3 grotesque giant monsters were frantically biting an equally huge, white cocoon. With each bite, a large amount of milky white liquid would shoot out from the soft body surface of the cocoon. These giant monsters not only attacked the cocoon like crazy, but also dragged it to the ground with all their strength. They are extremely powerful. One is like a pangolin, another is like an ape, and another is like a python. On the ground, more than a dozen monsters had already gathered, and all of them had red eyes. Why is this happening? Tao Gangming was really panicked. The monsters outside were all at the level of guardian beasts. He was confident that he could fight 2 of them alone, but a dozen of them. This had already exceeded the limit of the white insect's combat power. When fighting, you not only rely on combat power, but more often than not, you also need to rely on your brains. Qin Lang laughed and pointed at his temple. What should you do now, beast? Exclamation mark. What on earth have you done? How could I tell you? Qin Lang laughed. No. If this continues, Begami will definitely die. We must escape quickly. Tao Gangming was sweating profusely. He pushed with both palms, and the powerful force immediately sent Qin Lang and 4 others out. The few people who came to the outside world fell into a daze. As soon as they opened their eyes, they saw a dozen strange monsters below. Hiss, this is. Dao Shen and Gulai's eyes almost fell out of shock. Qin Lang had 2 wings on his back, firmly grasping the 3 of them, and immediately flew into the air to watch the battle. Someone is going to suffer an old sin. The white worm was torn and bitten by the beasts. It wanted to escape, but couldn't because there were too many monsters besieging it. /U003 CBR /U003 Qin Lang. What the hell did you do to my white god? Tao Gangming was so scared that his heart and gallbladder broke. It doesn't matter if I tell you, Qin Lang smiled and said, if you want to completely master the beast suppression knife, you must go through a training. The training content is to survive the attacks of all the guardian beasts in the N10 area. I just started the training of the beast suppression knife in the stomach of the white god, so you must do your best. You are so sinister. Tao Gangming was so angry that he vomited blood. At this time, the body of the white worm had completely collapsed. Tao Gangming's face was as pale as paper and he vomited blood repeatedly. He clearly felt that the life of the white worm was passing away and it would die completely in a moment. At this time, it was too late to take out the beast suppression knife. He could only watch the body of the white worm being dismembered by the guardian beast. No. Tao Gangming spat out blood again, fell heavily to the ground, and fainted. It's a pity for the beast suppressing knife, but it's enough to kill this powerful enemy. Qin Lang is not greedy. One cannot have everything. It's worth it to use the beast suppressing knife to exchange for the life of the awakened Tao Gangming. Qin Lang swooped down and grabbed the unconscious Tao Gangming and took the 4 people away from this place of trouble. As for the final ownership of the beast suppressing knife, to be honest, Qin Lang didn't want to know. It was not a magical weapon that he could get his hands on with his current combat power. The flame was stained with grease and made a crackling sound. Tao Gangming woke up faintly and found himself in a tent. Qin Lang, Minna and the other 4 were sitting not far away eating barbecue. Tao Gangming narrowed his pupils and clenched his right fist secretly. He wanted to use his skills to sneak attack Qin Lang, but was shocked to find that his body was empty and he had no skills. Chapter 193 Awakening Badge. Qin Lang left the 4-person team and flew to the safe area. After successfully picking up the 2 girls, he avoided the herd of beasts that had not dispersed near the underground palace and came to the god's sanctuary. Tao Gangming is indeed dead. Wang AI felt a little complicated when he learned that Tao Gangming had died. That bad old man relied on himself to learn a weird skill and even betrayed his own people. What's the pity that he died? Invincible cursed. He deserves it. When did I sympathize with him? I just feel a little emotional. If he gets the strength to stop acting randomly, doesn't betray his sanctuary, and slowly develops, he won't end up dying in a foreign land. Wang AI said angrily. Boss Qin. Fighting god came over with a rosy face. I just arranged for brothers to have a celebration party tonight. We won't go home until we get drunk. Celebration party? Qin Lang smiled and nodded. Climbing the ranks to kill the awakened ones is indeed something worth celebrating. I will participate. Then it's settled. I'm definitely not as good as you when it comes to fighting, but when it comes to drinking, I, the god of fighting, have never lost as a wine taster. God of fighting it up. It turns out that before the end of the world, Dao Shen was a professionally licensed sommelier, while Gulai was a fitness instructor. And you, Qin. Lang looked at Mina curiously. Mina weighed the sword in her hand. Isn't it obvious enough? College girl. Damn, you've already guessed this. I'm just a female college student, just the leader of the kendo club. Everyone laughed. Brothers, please move out the tables, chairs, and benches. I'm now announcing something important. Starting tonight, we will hold a 3-day celebration banquet. Eat meat and drink wine. Don't go home until you're drunk. Wow. Long live the boss. Long live Boss Qin. The celebration banquet was held for 3 days, and Qin Lang was also drunk for 3 days. Of course, it was the kind of drunkenness that lasted until the last minute. The shelter did not return to normal until noon on the 4th day, and Qin Lang told everyone his thoughts. Going back so soon. But it will take at least 10 days and a half for you to come back. During this time, you don't know what will happen. If you ask me, you might as well stay, and the 4 of us will work together as a team to fight hard like before. Guardian Beast. It took a lot of effort to hug him, but the god of war was not stupid, so how could he let him run away so easily? I agree with what Arshen said. It's best not to waste time on the road. A lot of things will happen in 10 days and a half. Let's stay. When we find the secret realm again, we might be able to go back. Gulai agreed. Mina crossed her arms and muttered to persuade, although I hate these gays, what they say does make sense. Don't waste time on unnecessary things. The most important thing right now is to improve yourself and awaken quickly. Qin Lang, you have to believe in Leoli and the others. They can live a good life without you. As for Guogo and I, you don't have to worry about it. We have discussed it, and we will hunt near and district. If we encounter danger, we will run to the safe area, and you will reimburse the card for us anyway. Everyone said something to me, and everything they said made sense. Qin Lang smiled bitterly. Sometimes I really doubt whether you have discussed it beforehand. You are right. It is my lack of consideration. The top priority is to improve the combat power, awaken as soon as possible, and then go back after awakening. Now, it's right. The fighting god gave a thumbs up, opened the unknown ancient book, pointed to one of the pages and said, look, we have even figured out the order of the crusade. If we kill them in one circle, we will increase our combat power by at least 20,000 to 30,000 people. Chapter 194, Cherry Blossoms, Emperor and Fried Skewers. Time flies, and in the blink of an eye it is already a month later. A sudden snowfall enveloped the entire palace. The owner of this palace, nicknamed Emperor, is the leader of this sanctuary. At this time, the Emperor was wearing a dragon robe and sitting on a huge dragon chair, listening to the reports of his subordinates below. The first hunting team made a lot of gains yesterday, including 2 king cards, 9 supreme cards, and 33 legend cards. The second, the hunting team encountered a powerful biological attack during the hunting process. 6 people were killed and 32 injured. The third hunting team, Your Majesty, it's not good. A man ran in with a hurried expression. We found the 6th hunting team, but something happened to them. The Emperor said calmly. What happened? Speak slowly and don't make such a fuss. We have never encountered anything along the way. Yes, Your Majesty. I lost my temper. The man calmed down and said, I was ordered to look for the 6th hunting team and found their clothes on the edge of the cliff. There was no one there at the time. Apart from the clothes, there was only a huge iron pot. I was very hungry at the time and wanted to see the iron pot. What was in the pot? The result. The man was obviously greatly frightened and tremblingly handed his cell phone to the Emperor. Inside was a video of dozens of seconds. The person who filmed it was shaking. Because of fear, the emperor clicked the play button and frowned suddenly. Point in this huge iron pot. There are 37 human heads floating impressively, and the total number of the 6th hunting team is exactly 36 people. 27 men and 9 women. Fuck you. The emperor slammed the dragon chair. Who on earth is so capable that he can destroy my 6th hunting team? Although the 6th hunting team had just been established not long ago, the captain was one of his confidants, a top-notch warrior with 70,000 combat power, especially his physical skills that allowed him to cope with 99% of the harsh environment. Why did he even? You couldn't run out either. I have fought side by side with Yun for so long. I know better than anyone how strong he is. Even if he is chased by people who are 10,000 to 20,000 more powerful than him, he should be able to escape easily. There is only one possibility, that he will be destroyed by the group. The 5th captain suddenly raised his head. The person who attacked them is an awakening level powerhouse. What? Awakening level strong man? In our entire palace, only the emperor and 5 captains are awakened ones. Where did this new awakened person come from? Quiet, the emperor scolded, and when the discussion below stopped, he said with a gloomy face, "Hello city, there is no second shelter except us." In other words, the murderer may have sneaked in through the secret realm or other cities. It is assumed that this person is an awakened person. Will be very dangerous. Stop the hunting until we find out who the murderer is. 5 captains. My subordinate is here. Look for me. Even if Hello City is turned upside down, we must find the murderer. Anyone who dares to kill me, I will make him. The emperor paused and looked at the man who reported the report in surprise. He knelt down on the ground in pain, clutched his chest, and screamed, "It hurts. It hurts." Puff. The man's head exploded and turned into a ball of blood mist. A long worm came out of the man's cavity and condensed into a woman's face. The woman opened her eyes, smiled and said in vague Chinese, "Are you the emperor? Who are you?" The emperor shouted angrily, "Please, allow us to be ourselves. This chapter is not finished. Click the next chapter to continue reading chapter 194." Sakura, the emperor and fried skewers. Introduce. The woman stumbled and said, "We come from the distant Sakura country. The purpose of this trip is to occupy China. Grass. I want to eat shit. Pretending to be your mother." All the captains were furious and cursed one after another. The emperor raised his hand to signal silence. "You, China, there is an old saying, those who obey me will live, and those who go against me will perish. Within 3 days, if you don't obey, you will all become dead souls in the pot. My words have been brought." After the woman finished speaking, she let out a series of sharp and harsh laughter, which turned into a pool of blood. "Sakura country. A fucking small country. How dare you make us surrender? Boss, let me take action and I will destroy them." The chief captain, a sub-armed swordsman, shouted loudly. The emperor said with a gloomy face, "Let them come here. I want to see how powerful these awakened people from Sakura Kingdom are." A few days later, white snow covers the sky and the earth. A group of 4 people, with a cat, a mushroom and a young 3-headed hellhound, walked in the snow. "How do you know this is Hello City? Have you been here before?" Qin Lang asked casually. He was now wearing a black robe, covering his body. Dao Shen chuckled and said, "That's right, boss, you have forgotten. I was a wine taster before. Wherever there is a winery open, I'm there. I'm everywhere in the country. Not only have I been here in Hello City, I'm still here. I bought a house and housed 2 male college students. No, female college students." Qin Lang glanced at him and couldn't help laughing. "You are quite rich. Hey, if you're a good man and don't mention your bravery, I still have a girl in my house. I'm afraid she would have turned into a withered skeleton in a grave long ago." The god of war waved his hand. "By the way, what are we doing here? There is an apostle here. Kill him and go back." Qin Lang said it lightly. 4 people and 3 pets came to the top of a ruins and looked into the distance. "Hey, there is, damn it, who is so awesome that he actually built a palace here. Do we want to go over and have a look?" The god of war yelled. Qin Lang nodded. "It's okay to go and have a look." Treat each other with courtesy and don't offend the locals easily. TSK, boss, I'm not telling you, you are good at everything, but you are too polite. When dealing with these natives, if you are obedient, let them stay and continue to be the emperor. If they are not obedient, just kill them. Mina glared at him. Thankfully Qin Lang was polite, otherwise your and Lao Gu's shelter would have been bulldozed long ago. Dao Shen was a little embarrassed, but he had long been used to it. Several people walked towards the palace and arrived nearby soon. At this time, everyone realized that something was wrong here. The huge palace was unguarded, and an extremely evil aura was exuding from the inside out. Listen, it seems a woman is screaming. Mina pricked up her ears and reminded. Qin Lang remained silent, made a silent gesture, gathered his breath, and sneaked into the palace. In the middle of the palace, 3 men were abusing a beautiful woman. No matter how the woman begged for mercy and screamed, the other party showed no mercy. After venting his animalistic desires, one of the dwarfs grabbed the woman's hair, jumped up, and then threw her into a huge iron pot. There was only a sound of sizzling, and the skin of the woman who was alive a second ago was fried into golden brown. There was boiling oil in the pot. The fried skewers are delicious. The short man clapped his hands. Chapter 195 Kihei family. This strange and terrifying scene caused Qin Lang and the 4 of them to fall into deep silence. They have seen so many things like humiliating women that they have long become accustomed to it. As for cannibals, we have seen them several times since the end of the world, but to humiliate people before using them as food is somewhat of a violation of humankind's bottom line. Beasts. I'll kill you. Qin Lang held down Mina's arm and signaled her not to be impulsive. Crack, click, click. In this day's moment, the dwarf fished out the golden corpse that had been blown up, chopped it up like an animal, and distributed it to his companions. What? A fucking beast. Dao Shen cursed in a low voice. They are not Chinese. They seem to be from Sakura country. Mina suddenly said. How did you tell? Qin Lang asked curiously. The teachers of my university's kendo club are hired from Sakura country. They usually like to wear wooden clogs that make a lot of noise when walking. They also have their sitting posture and the etiquette of putting their hands together to express gratitude before eating. Take a look. Qin Lang looked carefully, and sure enough, the other 2 men who received the food both put their hands together with smiles on their faces and said fuck. Sakura's people. Gulai's curse was a bit loud, which alerted the 3 people who were preparing to eat, and all 3 eyes looked over. Seeing that his whereabouts were exposed, Qin Lang simply stopped hiding and stood up. Oh, I really like the beauty and the delicious food. The short man clapped his hands and the 2 companions laughed. Ito-san, I leave it to you. No problem. The dwarf Ito grabbed his right hand in the air, and a thick butcher's knife appeared in his hand. Without any nonsense, he rushed forward and came to the 4 people, intending to fight 1 against 4. I have seen people who overestimate their abilities, but I have never seen people who overestimate their abilities like this. A hint of sarcasm flashed in Qin Lang's eyes, but he did not take action. Instead, he took 2 steps back with Dao Shen and Gulai in tacit understanding, leaving Mina enough room to play. Beast, die. The moment Mina bent over, leaned forward, and pulled out the sword with her right hand, the face of the dwarf Ito, who had been smiling a second ago and thought he could pinch the 4 of them, changed wildly. However, at this time, it was too late to run away, and a bright light flashed across his face. The incomparable cross sword flashed away in an instant, and the body of the dwarf Ito was split into 4, and he died on the spot, and could no longer die. Hiss. Ito-san. Damn. It's the awakened one. Go. Find the boss. The 2 companions were almost frightened when they saw the dwarf Ito being killed instantly, and turned around in a hurry, but Mina had no intention of letting them go. She tapped her toes, and her body was as graceful as a giant leaping over the 2 of them, and she drew her sword again, easily cut off 2 heads. What a weak awakener, not even 1/10 as good as Tao Gangming. Qin Lang casually grabbed the awakener badge in the body of the dwarf Ito. The back said cannibal. The badges of the other 2 people were a pathfinder and a defender. These 3 are not popular at first glance. They should use a bunch of garbage cards to forcibly pile up their combat power until they awaken. Mina sneered. Killing them was no different from killing a chicken. Qin Lang found the communicator on one of them, and the communicator was flashing. Qin Lang pressed the button to answer, and a woman's voice came from inside. Ito, you idiot, why are you only answering now? Ito, he's dead. Qin Lang said calmly. There was an obvious pause on the communicator. Who are you? Qin Lang blasted the communicator, because he had felt several quite powerful auras coming from deep within the palace. 5 black shadows landed not far away from the 4 people, a group of 3 men and 2 women. One of the men was slightly older. This chapter is not finished. Click the next chapter to continue reading chapter 195. Nanami family. They were in their 50s, and the 2 boys were both 18 or 19 years old. The 2 women had somewhat imaginary looks, and seemed to be a mother and daughter. The older man was obviously the leader. He narrowed his eyes, and stared blankly at the 3 corpses next to Qin Lang, the awakened one. Naturally, Qin Lang would not answer such a stupid question, and instead asked, are you tired of living in the country of Sakura instead of running wild on China's territory? It's a joke. Don't look at what the environment is like now. It's the end of the world. How can there be such a country? One of the 2 teenagers actually spoke fluent Chinese. Not only that, he even had some traces of it. Dialect accent. Are you Chinese? Qin Lang was a little puzzled. No. I was just born in China. When I was 10 years old, I went to the Sakura kingdom with my parents. I will never admit that I'm a Chinese. The blood of the Sakura royal family flows in my bones. I'm an authentic royal blood. Royal blood, royal blood. Qin Lang couldn't help but feel happy. Only animals care about purity of blood. Oh, I forgot. You are no different from animals by allowing your subordinates to do such disgusting things. Arrogant Chinese boy, do you know who you are talking to? I, Nanami Palace, am one of the top 10 in the Sakura Kingdom's God of War list. The middle-aged man Nanami Palace yelled angrily. Nanami Palace? Qin Lang was stunned. This name sounded very familiar to him. He tried to recall it, and suddenly remembered that in his previous life, there was indeed such a family-like group that did evil on the land of China, and was later killed by the Chinese God of War masters, but that was several years later. Qin Lang didn't know much about this family, but there was a name that was more famous than Kahei Palace. That was the demon girl Kahei's point. This woman had killed a master on the Chinese God of War list. Ah, you Kahei's? Qin Lang looked at the young woman among the 5. The young woman was stunned. How do you know the name Kahei's? Is a reputation already so high? You are really self-righteous. Qin Lang was happy. Since you have come all the way to China to make trouble, then just leave your life here. Want to take our lives? Who do you think you are? The original owner of this palace, who called himself the Emperor, led his 5 captains and 100 elites to attack us. Do you know what their result was? Kahei Palace laughed and said word by word. Army, overthrow, gone. Mina, Azhen, Leogu, these 5 people, are you sure? Qin Lang was too lazy to listen to Kahei Palace's beeping, and turned to look at his comrades who had been working well together for more than a month. It's a piece of cake. Gulai raised his right arm, holding the axe firmly in his palm, while Mina held the hilt with one hand and stood still. Although this combination of one tall and one short, one fat and one thin, one man and one woman did not look very coordinated, it brought a lot of oppression to the Nanami family. These people can easily kill Ito and others. They are definitely not ordinary awakeners. Incheon, Ieyasu, you must be careful and never underestimate the enemy. Incheon and Ieyasu are the names of the 2 teenagers in the team. No, mother, watch how my brother and I chop them into pieces. Incheon nodded. I know that mother likes to eat 3 kinds of people the most. I will definitely leave the most complete for you. Ieyasu also spoke. Really? A child loved by my mother. The middle-aged beautiful woman hugged her 2 sons in her arms, and then kissed them. Qin Lang. Mina. Fighting God. Gulai! Exclamation mark. Chapter 196 Malay. Kang's battle point. I don't know if it's a coincidence or what. Ieyasu's path is also the transformation system. Not only that, he is taller and more powerful than the dragon turned war god. He is a monster with the head of a griffin and a human body and a ragtail. The fight between the 2 does not have much technical content, and is purely a hand-to-hand fight. A few minutes after the battle started, both of them were scarred and bleeding profusely. It's been a long time since I've encountered such a decent enemy. I'm even a little reluctant to kill them. Zhang Xiangzi said softly. They are indeed very decent, but it's a pity that they are not of my race, and their hearts must be different. They should be killed, but they have to be killed. Do you feel sorry for your sons? Nanami Palace said with a smile. Of course, if they are too seriously injured, who will satisfy me tonight? Xiangzi left her husband's arms and suddenly laughed ferociously. It's obviously a 2-on-2 fight, but you secretly add Halo from behind. Isn't that outrageous? Fighting God sneered. So what, you damn bastard, do you want to bite me? Xiangzi chuckled. You are such a smart guy. I just want to bite you. When Xiangzi was talking, her body suddenly became extremely bloated and obese, and her clothes were bursting. There were at least dozens of bulges hanging on her dark red bumpy skin, some big and some small. The most disgusting thing was her lower body, which not only had growth, there were many arms and legs, and 2 uteruses carrying deformed children hung from her waist. Damn, it's so fucking abstract. Fighting God's scalp went numb when he saw it point. Xiangzi opened his bloody mouth and rushed straight towards the god of war. Although Dao Shen's path is to strengthen the master, it does not mean that he can't fight at all, but his combat ability is not as good as pure violence like Mina and Gulai. Seeing the enemy approaching, Dao Shen took out his pistol and fired continuously. The bullet hit Xiangzi and exploded. A lump of foul-smelling liquid came out. Ouch. However, even the pistol, that had been strengthened countless times, still could not stop Xiangzi's attack. After a few breaths, Xiangzi came to the front, and his palm like a dead branch slapped heavily on the shoulder of the god of fighting. Oh, shit. The god of fighting wanted to hide, but it was too late. A large piece of meat on his right shoulder was torn off, and blood gushed out. Xiangzi stuffed the meat into his mouth and chewed it with an intoxicated look on his face. Well, it's delicious. I love it. You dead old witch. Taste the power of my burning rifle. The god of fighting cursed and took out a strange looking rifle. As the trigger was pulled, the burning flaming bullets rained down on Xiangzi, instantly drowning Xiangzi. Screams were endless. My wife was beaten like this, but she was not nervous at all. It seems that she is fine. The combat power of this old witch is far greater than her 2 sons. Qin Lang made a judgment and decided to take action. Awakeners of the level of Xiangzi are not something that the god of fighting can deal with. Oh, you finally can't help but make a move. You look like the leader of these 3 people. Are you strong? How strong? Qi Gang smiled. Qin Lang thought about it seriously and replied, I don't know whether I'm strong or not. Anyway, I only know that the awakeners are divided into different levels according to the quality of the cards they learn before awakening. The lowest awakeners don't have stars and moons. Qi Gang nodded and became a little more serious. You know a lot. That's right. Those who don't have stars and moons on their badges are the lowest level awakeners. My 2 sons are 1 moon and 3 stars. My wife is 2 moons and 2 stars, and I am 3 moons and 3 stars. Now, you know how powerful I am. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 197, Crushing. Qin Lang nodded. March 3 stars are indeed not weak. Not weak? Nanami Palace couldn't help laughing. Your comment is very interesting. When you heard that I'm an awakened person of this level, aren't you a little scared? Are you pretending to be calm? Qin Lang smiled and said nothing, but slowly raised his right hand. The moment the ice and fire swords were summoned, the overwhelming killing intent was continuously released, and the air seemed to contain this extremely terrifying breath. For Nanami Palace, the top powerhouse in the Sakura Kingdom, actually felt a sense of fear that he had not seen for a long time. It was a feeling of being stared at by an ancient behemoth, as if the behemoth would be devoured as long as it opened its mouth. This is wrong. Nanami slapped himself hard twice. This must be an illusion. There is no way someone is that powerful. I have fought against Sakura's top master, and the pressure he gave me was not so strong. Go, Qin. Lang was too lazy to pay attention to Kihei Palace, who was talking to himself. He just pointed a finger, and the ice and fire swords turned into two entangled streams of light and shot out. A strange shield appeared in Kihei Palace's right hand, trying to use the shield to resist Qin Lang's swords, but as a result, the shield shattered on the spot. Nanami Palace also flew backwards, and his right arm suffered a comminuted fracture, and was broken into countless sections. How can this be? Nanami Palace screamed. The movement here attracted everyone in other battlefields to fight, and they all looked over. When they found that Nanami Palace was injured, their eyes showed incredible expressions. Father, are you kidding? The eldest son Inchin thought of a possibility. My father would occasionally pretend to be weak and play tricks on his enemies. Haha, no need to ask. Father must be playing tricks on him. The second son Ieyasu nodded heavily, with a relief expression on his face. The ugly Mrs. Xiangxi said angrily, Mang, you are such a child who won't grow up. Let's fight quickly. I hate fighting like this. No, it's not. Nanami Palace trembled. He stammered, I didn't play tricks on him. His level is far higher than mine. I can't possibly beat him. Run away. Everyone, run for your lives. However, before several people in the Kihei family could digest this reminder, Qin Lang had once again controlled the flying sword to attack and kill 20D magnification dice. Qin Lang murmured to himself and then let out a light sigh. It's such bad luck that it's only 3 times, so it doesn't matter. Boom. Nanami Palace's body was penetrated by the strengthened double swords, and his upper body was torn apart, bleeding profusely. Father, Nanami Sase exclaimed. Run. Quickly. Nanami Palace let out a scream, abandoning his wife, daughter and son, and flying into the distance with his broken body. As an awakened person with a high rank, Nanami Palace is not so easy to kill, and has very strong vitality. Let's deal with what's in front of us first. Qin Lang did not chase, but focused on the battlefield in front of him. He raised the corners of his mouth, pointed at the sword and murmured, watch the moon. A crescent moon suddenly appeared in the sky. The crescent moon was like a hook and as white as jade. This is not good. Zun Xiangzi exclaimed. It was too late to escape at this moment. The crescent moon shattered and turned into countless lightsabers covering the battlefield. A steady stream of lightsabers entangled the 3 people in the field, twisting their bodies into a bloody mess. This is one of Qin Lang's awakening skills, Moon Watching Slash, which is the airbender version of the Holy Slash. This chapter is not finished yet. Click on the next chapter to continue reading. Chapter 197. Crushing has a larger attack range and power, and is blessed by moonlight when fighting at night. I'll leave this to you. I'll go after Nanami Palace. Qin Lang casually dropped a word and chased in the direction of Nanami Palace. When he passed by Nanami Sase, he chopped off the head of the future witch with a sword. Puff. Nanami Palace struggled through the forest, constantly vomiting blood. No matter how strong his vitality was, he was seriously injured, and it would take time to recover from the wound. It's so scary. Why is there such a terrifying awakened person? Could it be that he has reached the pinnacle of the awakened person? Nanami Palace couldn't run anymore, so she rested with one hand on an old tree, her mind as confused as a pot of mush. Suddenly, Kihei Gang's expression changed, and he saw the godlike figure floating in the air, looking down at him. The dazzling sunlight made it difficult for him to see Qin Lang's expression clearly. Don't kill me, I was wrong. Nanami Palace suddenly knelt down and kowtowed in a very spineless manner. Give me a life, and I'm willing to work for you. I'm much stronger than your 3 followers. I can sacrifice my life for you. I don't need a beastly follower. Qin Lang responded indifferently, and with a movement of his fingers, the 2 swords shot out from behind, instantly penetrating Kihei Gang's body. What level are you at? Nanami Palace was completely unable to move, and his face was at hen point. Qin Lang landed slowly and said lightly, 1 sun, 3 months and 3 stars. The sun. Nanami screamed, spit out a mouthful of blood, and closed his eyes forever. Promoted. Qin Lang took out his Awakener badge and looked at it. He saw that the original 3 stars turned into a crescent moon point. After merging with the other 3-wheeled moon, it transformed into a 2-wheeled sun. Killing such a powerful awakener only counts for 1 star? Qin Lang was quite amused. It was obvious that the further it went, the harder it would be for the awakened to improve. Qin Lang took Qi Heigong's body back to the storage space and returned to reunite with everyone. Mina and the other 2 were arguing about something. What happened? Qin Lang asked. Mina said, Qin Lang, please judge. Dao Shen, this stubborn fan, actually didn't follow the rules and planned to take the experience points of these 3 people for himself. Dao Shen blushed and said, didn't I tell you that I'm the weakest in the team? If I kill these 3, I have a high probability of being promoted. I'm discussing this with you. Why are you so excited? Mina said, what kind of discussion is this? I don't agree. Okay, stop arguing. These 3 people belong to Dao Shen. You and Gulai have both reached the double moon level. If you kill them, the experience you get will be. It won't be too high. It's a waste. It's better to give it to Dao Shen and let him be promoted to Dao Yu. Dao Shen was overjoyed. The boss is the boss. Thank you, boss. Mina crossed her arms and gave Dao Shen a fierce look. Just spoil him. Qin Lang said happily. Dao Shen's strengthening ability can play a big role in battle. No. Don't kill me, Inchin screamed. As long as you are willing to give us a way out, let us do anything. Yes, yes, yes. Anything is fine. Ieyasu also screamed desperately. Don't rush to kill them. Ask them through what channels they came to our China. This is not important information. You can say it if you are willing to, and it doesn't matter if you don't want to say it. Qin Lang shouted at Dao Shen. Chapter 198. Theory of Liberation. You heard what the boss said. Did you take the initiative to confess? Or, hey, a trick? The god of war deliberately clenched his fists loudly. At this time, the 3 people in Inchin had already turned pale with fear. How could they dare to resist? They hurriedly said, I'll say it. I'll say anything. Inchin told everyone that the 3 of them came to China through a transfer station. The so-called transfer station is actually a kind of underground palace or secret realm. The only difference is that the transfer station only has the function of idle transfer. It is not like an underground palace or a secret realm. There are monsters, treasures, and some rule restrictions. You, a family of perverts, don't want to stay in the Sakura country. Why are you here in China? God of War said coldly. His ancestors had participated in the anti-Sakura war, and he hated the Sakura country from the bottom of his heart. In fact, the vast majority of Chinese people are full of hatred for Sakura country, and it will be difficult to change even in the end of the world. Inchin glanced at his mother Xiangzi, who said dejectedly, we came to liberate the area under the order of the emperor. Liberated area? Qin Lang raised his eyebrows. What do you mean? Xiangzi said in disbelief. Why, you don't know what a liberated area is? Should I know? Qin Lang asked. Stop talking nonsense. Speak directly. I'll beat you to death if you keep trying. Fighting God kicked Xiangzi hard. Obtain the source treasure so that the area will be in a liberated state. No monsters will appear in a short period of time, and there will not be any extreme weather. It seems that there are more benefits after liberating the area, but what are they specifically? I really don't know. The core information is only in the hands of the emperor and a limited number of Sakura warriors. Qin Lang was a little surprised by Xiangzi's words, but at the same time he still had some things he didn't understand, so he decided to ask. What are source creatures and source treasures? Do they refer to the strongest creatures in a certain area? Yes. Xiangzi nodded. The source creature must be the strongest creature in the area, but it is fundamentally different from the ordinary creatures in the area in strength. As for the source treasure, it is the treasure guarded by the source creature. Qin Lang raised his eyebrows. How many areas has your emperor liberated? Xiangzi smiled bitterly. Liberating the area is very difficult. It is not a task that can be completed by one person. At least a team with a balanced skill set must be formed first. As far as I know, the emperor, with his imperial guards and 3,000 elites, at the cost of 2,000 casualties and the death of several guards, the N1 area was barely liberated. After a pause, Xiangxi saw Qin Lang's confused eyes and hurriedly said, "That was several months ago. There were no awakened people among them at that time. With the current strength of human beings, 5 or 6 awakened people can liberate areas below N4. It shouldn't be very difficult, and I wouldn't think it's weird for someone as powerful as you to liberate the N5 area single-handedly. I believe you. You fucking want to trick me into dying." Qin Lang knew that Xiangxi was trying to kill him, so he would not be fooled, and fell into deep thought. "So, you came here this time to liberate an area of N difficulty, Zun." Xiangxi smiled charmingly. "N3 and below. As long as we encounter them, we will try them. Very well. Answer my last question, Qin." Lang raised his finger. "How do you find the source creature? And how do you determine the source creature?" Xiangxi coughed lightly. "There are currently 2 known methods. The first one is to combine a large number of biological methods, let them conduct bioprospecting to locate the source creatures in the current area. The second is to use the king's tool, the compass of origin." Dao Shen opened his hand and said, "Where is it? Hand over the compass." We don't have a compass." Zun Xiang's eyes flickered. Okay, if you don't pay, then I will kill your sons first, and then slowly torture you to death." Dao Shen knows how to interrogate and question. "Don't want." Xiangxi was indeed scared, and said with a sad face, "I can give you the compass, but, in exchange, I hope you can let us live." "Damn it, you're still making terms with me at this time." The god of war pulled out his knife, and was about to kill, but was stopped by Qin language. "Yes, but you must also agree to one condition. Go back to Sakura country. If I see you again, I will kill you, even if I chase you to the ends of the earth." Qin Lang, "Boss, how can this be done?" Minna, Gulai and Dao Shen all disagreed. "They tortured and killed so many of our compatriots, and you just let them go?" Minna's eyebrows rose. Qin Lang's eyes were cold. "Are you questioning my decision?" "Well, no, of course not." The 3 of them shook their heads hurriedly. They have been with Qin Lang for more than a month, and they are well aware of Qin Lang's character. He is always laughing and joking, giving people a humorous, sunny, and cheerful image, but once it comes to issues of principle, he really kills people without blinking an eye. So don't expect him. What kind of compassion can there be? The god of war immediately untied the ropes tied to the 3 of them. Xiangxi took out a square compass and handed it to Qin Lang. "Every time you use the compass to locate, you need to consume an arbitrary supreme card," and raised his hand. Xiangxi said hey, and hurriedly took his 2 sons to escape into the distance. Minna said angrily, "Qin Lang, wait for me here." Qin Lang saw the 3 people disappearing into the distance. His body rose into the air, and he actually chased after them. A few minutes later, Zun Xiangxi noticed that someone was chasing behind her, and when she saw it was Qin Lang, her heart suddenly hung in her throat, but she didn't dare to run away at all, and she couldn't run away at all. She looked at Qin Lang blankly, bowed humbly and said, "Excuse me, is there anything else Mr. Qin can do?" Qin Lang nodded. "It's nothing big, I just want to tell you that we meet again. Incense seed." Qin Lang nodded. "It's nothing big, I just want to tell you that we meet again. Incense seed." Pointed his swords together and summoned the 2 swords of ice and fire. "What did I say just now? If I see you again, I will kill you, even if I'm at the end of the world. I can't break my promise." Inchen was shocked and angry. You are playing a word game. You are a bitch, and you still build a memorial arch." Qin Lang couldn't help laughing. "Yes, so what? With perverts like you, do we need to be honest? You don't want a." Few minutes later, Qin Lang returned to the original place to join Minna and the others. Compared with when he left, there were 3 more corpses in his storage ring. "You heard what the boss said. Did you take the initiative to confess? Or, hey, a trick?" The god of war deliberately clenched his fists loudly. At this time, the 3 people in Incheon had already turned pale with fear. How could they dare to resist? They hurriedly said, "I'll say it. I'll say anything." Incheon told everyone that the 3 of them came to China through a transfer station. The so-called transfer station is actually a kind of underground palace or secret realm. The only difference is that the transfer station only has the function of idle transfer. It is not like an underground palace or a secret realm. There are monsters, treasures, and some rule restrictions. You, a family of perverts, don't want to stay in the Sakura country. Why are you here in China? God of War said coldly. His ancestors had participated in the anti-Sakura war, and he hated the Sakura country from the bottom of his heart. In fact, the vast majority of Chinese people are full of hatred for Sakura country, and it will be difficult to change even in the end of the world. Inchin glanced at his mother Xian Xiangzi, who said dejectedly, "We came to liberate the area under the order of the emperor." Liberated area? Qin Lang raised his eyebrows. What do you mean? Xiangzi said in disbelief. Why, you don't know what a liberated area is? Should I know? Qin Lang asked. Stop talking nonsense. Speak directly. I'll beat you to death if you keep trying. Fighting God kicked Xiangzi hard. Obtain the source treasure so that the area will be in a liberated state. No monsters will appear in a short period of time, and there will not be any extreme weather. It seems that there are more benefits after liberating the area, but what are they specifically? I really don't know. The core information is only in the hands of the emperor and a limited number of Sakura warriors. Qin Lang was a little surprised by Sun Xiangzi's words, but at the same time he still had some things he didn't understand, so he decided to ask, what are source creatures and source treasures? Do they refer to the strongest creatures in a certain area? Yes. Xiangzi nodded. The source creature must be the strongest creature in the area, but it is fundamentally different from the ordinary creatures in the area in strength. As for the source treasure, it is the treasure guarded by the source creature. Qin Lang raised his eyebrows. How many areas has your emperor liberated? Xiangzi smiled bitterly. Liberating the area is very difficult. It is not a task that can be completed by one person. At least a team with a balanced skill set must be formed first. As far as I know, the emperor, with his imperial guards and 3,000 elites, at the cost of 2,000 casualties and the death of several guards, the N1 area was barely liberated. After a pause, Xiangzi saw Qin Lang's confused eyes and said hurriedly, that was several months ago. There were no awakened people among them at that time. With the current strength of human beings, 5 or 6 awakened people can liberate areas below N4. It shouldn't be very difficult, and I wouldn't think it's weird for someone as powerful as you to liberate area N5 single-handedly. I believe you. You fucking want to trick me into dying. Qin Lang knew that Xiangzi was trying to kill him, so he would not be fooled, and fell into deep thought. So, you came here this time to liberate an area of N difficulty, Zun. Xiangzi smiled charmingly. N3 and below. As long as we encounter them, we will try them. Very well. Answer my last question. Qin Lang raised his finger. How do you find the source creature? And how do you determine the source creature? Xiangzi coughed lightly. There are currently 2 known methods. The first one is to combine a large number of biological methods. Let them conduct bio prospecting to locate the source creatures in the current area. The second is to use the king's tool, the compass of origin. Dao Shen opened his hand and said, where is it? Hand over the compass. We don't have a compass. Sun Xiangzi's eyes flickered. Okay, if you don't pay, then I will kill your sons first, and then slowly torture you to death. Dao Shen knows how to interrogate and question. Don't want. Xiangzi was indeed scared, and said with a sad face, I can give you the compass, but, in exchange, I hope you can let us live. Fuck, you're still talking to me at this time. Dao Shen drew his knife, and prepared to kill, but was stopped by Qin language. Okay, but you must also agree to one condition of mine, that is, go back to Sakura country. If I see you again, I will kill you, even if I chase you to the ends of the earth. Qin Lang, boss, how can this be? Mina, Gulai and Dao Shen all disagreed. They slaughtered so many of our compatriots, and you just let them go? Mina's eyebrows stood up. You, Qin Lang's eyes were cold. Are you questioning my decision? No, of course not. The 3 of them shook their heads hurriedly. They have been with Qin Lang for more than a month, and know Qin Lang's character very well. He is always laughing and joking, giving people a humorous, sunny, and cheerful image, but once it comes to a matter of principle, he will kill people without blinking an eye. Don't expect him to have any mercy. Dao Shen immediately untied the ropes tied to the 3 people. Zun Xiangzi took out a square compass and handed it to Qin Lang. Every time you use the compass to locate, you need to consume an arbitrary supreme card. Okay, you guys go away. Qin Lang took the compass and raised his hand. Zun Xiangzi said hi and hurriedly took her 2 sons to escape into the distance. Minna said angrily, Qin Lang, wait for me here. Qin Lang saw the 3 people disappear in the distance, and his body flew into the air and chased after them. A few minutes later, Zun Xiangzi noticed that someone was chasing behind her. When she looked closely, she saw that it was Qin language. Her heart was immediately hanging in her throat, but she didn't dare to run away at all, and she couldn't run away at all. She stared at Qin Lang in a daze, bowed humbly and said, "Excuse me, Mr. Qin, is there anything else?" Qin Lang nodded. "It's nothing serious. I just want to tell you that we meet again, Zun Xiangzi." Qin Lang put his fingers together to form a sword, summoning the ice and fire swords. "What did I say just now? If I see you again, I will destroy you, even if I'm at the ends of the earth. I can't break my promise." Inchen was shocked and angry. You are playing word games. You are a whore and still pretending to be a saint." Qin Lang couldn't help laughing. "Yes, so what? Do I need to be honest with you perverts? You know." After a few minutes, Qin Lang returned to the original place and reunited with Minna and the other 2. Compared with when he left, there were 3 more bodies in his storage ring. Chapter 199, Queen of Miracles, disappeared in a moment, and countless eyes looked at the queen, who was walking down the steps surrounded by elite soldiers. "My Lady Queen, the Queen is going to march in person. Long live. We will win. The Queen has never lost." The depression and panic disappeared, replaced by relief and encouragement. However, looking at this group of survivors who had high hopes for themselves, Xiatita, known as the Queen of Miracles, felt a trace of worry deep in her eyebrows. "I can only do my best to resist the attack. The only one who can save me is myself." Xiatita tightened her grip on the scepter. 10 miles away from the shelter, the defense line has long been destroyed. The overwhelming Zerg are slowly moving towards the shelter. If you look down from a high altitude, you will find that they are densely packed like a huge dark cloud, and the shelter surrounded by them is only the size of a finger cap. Queen of Miracles, Ehi, today, Ehi, is the day of your death. Ehi, a man with a burly human upper body and an insect lower body let out a disgusting laugh, talking to himself while biting a human thigh. "Brother, why are you being stupid again? The queen wants a living queen. If you really kill her, the queen will beat you to death." A sweet voice sounded. The half-insect man raised his head and looked at the woman with a female head and flying insects from the neck down, and said with a smile, Hey, damn it, I almost forgot what my mother told me. Second sister, you should always remind me. Oh, brother, second sister, are you a little too confident? We have to face is the Queen of Miracles, which is not so easy to deal with. Be careful of capsizing in the gutter." The man sat on the back of a strange red sickle insect, waving its sharp claws and saying, "Sail the ship with care." Third, brother, are you doubting your eldest brother's fighting prowess, or are you doubting your second sister's strength? The insect girl chuckled. "It's not that we despise the enemy, but, as a species of Zerg, that is only 1 in a million, we have absolute confidence. Let's take a step back and say, if your brother and I lose, won't we still have you?" The gentle third child used Lavi to trim his hair and said, "I'd rather not take action if I can. I like peace." While the 3 Zerg siblings were talking, the Zerg army was already approaching the city. Facing them was the Queen of Miracles, Xiatita, and his more than 1,000 warriors. The 3 Zerg brothers and sisters are actually here. In the past, they only supervised the battle, but today they are leading the troops. Xiatita narrowed her eyes. "Queen." The insect girl sprinted to the top of Xiatita Tower. Her body hung in midair and said, "Our mother said that, as long as you surrender, you will not die. Not only you, but also your subordinates and subjects can survive. But if you don't know, if you stand up and resist, we will massacre the city and there will be no chickens or dogs left." Ziatata said lightly. I do believe what the Queen Mother said, but what is the price of survival? You didn't say a word. Human women will become the reproductive vessels for cultivating the Zerg race, and the men will become the spouses of the half-worm people, squeezing out energy day and night. If this is what you call living, it would be better to die and be done with it. The bug girl smiled and said, Queen, as the saying goes, it's better to live than die. Only the bugs are the most perfect race in the apocalyptic wasteland. Not only do we have super reproductive capabilities, but our hard shell can also resist all kinds of attacks and harsh weather. Join us, be us, it's your only option. Chapter 200. Old friend from Texas. The only option? Ziatata smiled and shook her head. Not necessarily. The insect girl who was laughing and joking just a second ago saw that Ziatata was unable to speak. Her face changed, and she hummed, stubborn thing, since you refuse to surrender, then we have nothing to talk about, just wait to die. After saying that, the insect girl turned to leave. A fierce look flashed in Ziatata's eyes, and she suddenly waved her scepter. A bright beam of light suddenly appeared and penetrated the insect girl's Shinling cap. The insect girl's body fell heavily to the ground, split into pieces, and a lot of dark green juice flowed out. I said it. Bug girl's head suddenly grinned. Zergs are the most perfect race. Shatter's temples were throbbing with veins, but before she could speak, two burly guards beside her rushed forward and chopped her head into pieces. That is, at the same time that Ziatata attacked the insect girl, a tide of insects poured into the shelter from all directions on them. It's not such a coincidence that I'm back in Texas, right? Des how? Minna was stunned. That Texas in Shandong? No, Texas. Qin Lang shook his head. Damn it, no way. Are you going abroad now? Dao Shen shouted. The sound alarmed the nearby insect swarms, and dozens of sickle insect monsters rushed over with screams. Roll. Qin Lang glared, and the swarm of insects that were so menacing a second ago took a few steps back in fear, then turned around and ran away. It seems like it's really Texas. I have an old friend here. I don't know if she is still alive. Qin Lang silently operated the air control technique, and his body slowly rose into the air, stopping when it was 100 meters above the ground. This was the limit he could reach at present. Flying higher would double the physical exertion. Qin Lang raised his eyes and looked around, and soon discovered the black sky in the distance. A swarm of bugs there attacking a huge aperture. What is that place? Qin Lang took out the military telescope, adjusted the magnification to the maximum, and finally saw clearly what was happening there. What happened? Mina said hurriedly when she saw Qin Lang landing and coming back. Go over first and talk later. Qin Lang's body shook, wings and arms grew, and he grabbed the three of them tightly and flew towards the location of the incident point. As for Ziohei, Qze and the Cerberus, who had just turned one full moon, they were allowed to move freely on the ground. They were not needed for fighting anyway. Holy shit, what are you doing? The bugs are holding a conference. The god of fighting was suffering from intensive phobia. Is that your friend in the circle of light? Minna pointed to the shelter shrouded in a radiant barrier. As my subordinate, I accidentally came to Texas once, rescued her, and helped her customize 3 decks. Qin Lang explained briefly, blindly guessing whether it's a woman or a beauty. Minna said with a bad smile, clever. Qin Lang laughed, flapped his wings hard, and his speed suddenly increased several times. At that time point, Shatteter and the guards inside the barrier continued to use firearms to attack the bugs outside, and the corpses piled up in mountains. However, these bugs had extremely low IQs, and did not know what fear was. They rushed forward one after another, stepping on the corpses of their companions and charging madly. Ziatata's face was livid. She knew she couldn't hold on for long, but she also knew what would happen once the barrier disappeared. This chapter is not finished yet. Click on the next chapter to continue reading chapter 200. Old friend from Texas. What am I going to die here today? Ziatata gave a wry smile. Get out of the way. Hey. Amidst a burst of strange laughter, the half-human insect rushed to the top of the light barrier brandishing a huge axe and smashed it hard. Click. The impenetrable barrier was suddenly hit with a wide crack. What? Shattered was shocked. The radiant barrier could resist even missiles, but it couldn't withstand this seemingly casual attack from the half-human insect. The three Zerg siblings are indeed the strongest fighting force of the Zerg clan. How dare you hurt my second sister? I'll eat you. Hey hey. The half-human insect laughed wildly, holding his hand non-stop. As the axe continued to fall, the cracks in the barrier became wider and wider. We can't continue to let it destroy the barrier, Queen. I'm going to kill it. The guard captain wanted to take action, but was stopped by Zyatita. You can't be its opponent. I'll give you the scepter, and I'll go out and kill it. What? Queen. This is too dangerous. No. Time to talk. Get it, Zaya. Tata forcibly threw the scepter to the guard captain, untied the red cloak, and when her arm shook, a long sword with bright light condensed. She jumped, as if there were springs under her feet. She jumped more than 10 meters. Gayo. The moment he broke out of the barrier, he slashed the half-human insect with his sword. The half-human insect covered his wound and laughed loudly. Not enough. Not enough. This little damage can't kill me at all. Hey hey. Let me show you what power is. The axe fell and made head-on contact with the lightsaber, only to see a large flash of sparks. Zyata jumped back. Her right arm saw from the shock point. The power of the half-human insect is much greater than she imagined. The one who just killed me substitute. Isn't it fun to kill? Now it's my turn. Dozens of identical insect girls appeared in mid-air, their faces twisted, and they burst into laughter. Sharp stingers appeared at the tails of the huge flying insects, and they all attacked Zyatita. Faced with a half-human insect, Zyatita was no match, not to mention the insect girl who joined later. Under the simultaneous attack of the two, Zyatita retreated step by step, and suffered many injuries on his body. Don't be nervous. What you were injected with is just a neurotoxin. It will only paralyze your body, but it will not be fatal. You are the reproductive vessel designated by the Queen Mother, and we will never kill you. The insect girl let out a maniacal laugh. I would rather die than be a bastard reproductive dish for you. That's not up to you. Is your body starting to feel numb now? The insect girl suddenly landed on the barrier, waving her ridiculous claws. Soon, you will be unable to move, let alone commit suicide. Even your eyeballs will move. Not even once. You, Zyata, took a deep breath, stared at the sword in his hand, and suddenly slashed at his neck. Stop dreaming. The insect girl screamed, and after a few steps forward, it suddenly stopped and whispered, Who is it? The toxins in Zyatita's body completely exploded, and her body became stiff. The only thing that could move was her mouth. She clearly felt someone behind her. A familiar voice sounded, "It's okay to leave this to you. Don't worry, boss. They're just a bunch of bugs. Take it easy, ho. You can have a lot of fun today. Well, then I'll take her to detoxify her first. If you three awakened ones can't defeat these insects, I can only say that you deserve to die." The visitors were none other than the Qin Lang quartet. Qin Lang left these words, hugged Zyatita, turned around and flew into the distance without looking back. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.